commanded, simultaneously activating the jet propulsion system hidden within the mech's joints. With a thunderous roar, dozens of blue flames erupted from the robot's joints. The tremendous thrust instantly affected every part of the machine. To the astonished gaze of the crowd, the small excavator, weighing several tons, was effortlessly lifted from the mud pit by the robot. The robot took steady steps, placing the small excavator safely on solid ground. Everyone was left in stunned silence. It was indeed possible, and so effortlessly. Such efficiency. The viewers in the live stream were thoroughly awestruck by this moment. To be honest, machines can often not replace human effort. Indeed, look at how this excavator, when mimicking a human form, suddenly becomes so much more effective. The host is amazing. This is true black technology. Successfully rescuing the first small excavator was merely a warm-up. The real challenge lay ahead with the larger excavators mired in the mud. Yi Bai maneuvered the humanoid mech in front of a 50-ton behemoth. Following the same procedure, he used the giant mechanical hands to grip the arm and support the chassis. Then activated the jet propulsion system once more. Boom! Blue flames erupted again from the joints, producing a deafening roar. The powerful thrust caused the ground beneath the mech to sink slightly. However, this time, the massive excavator was only raised a fraction before it became immovable, as if it were welded to the mud. No matter how the jet propulsion system roared, it remained utterly still. Witnessing this, Xiao Gaolang, who had just been astounded, couldn't resist mocking again. "Oh, what happened? Didn't you just boast about lifting it? Why can't you do it now? Seems like that's all you're capable of." Yi Bai, unfazed by the taunt, chuckled instead and responded through the cockpit speaker, who said, "I can't. A good brain is a valuable asset. I hope you possess one as well." With that, he decisively altered his strategy. The humanoid mech released its grip on the chassis, and in a swift motion, its hand transformed, revealing a suite of high-precision cutting and dismantling tools at its tip. Amidst the bewildered gazes of onlookers, the mech extended its arm and commenced meticulous disassembly at the junction of the massive excavator's arm. Sparks flew and the sound of metal grinding filled the air. In a short time, the incredibly heavy and enormous arm of the excavator was forcibly detached from the machine. The mech effortlessly lifted the arm and placed it steadily on the ground by the shore. After accomplishing this task, it returned to the mire, firmly grasping the excavator, which was now reduced to its chassis and cabin. Once again, Yi Bai activated the jet propulsion system, this time free from the weight of the arm. The enormous excavator chassis was slowly raised from the swamp. Although the entire process was evidently laborious, and the joints of the humanoid mech creaked under the strain, it ultimately succeeded. When the massive chassis was finally placed securely on the shore, Xiao Gaolang stood utterly dumbfounded, mouth agape, unable to utter a single word. Meanwhile, the surrounding villagers and drivers erupted into thunderous applause. Yi Bai jumped down from the cabin, approached Wang Fugui, wiped the sweat from his brow, and remarked, "Mr. Wang, your excavator exceeds 50 tons. When I was disassembling it, I weighed just the arm, and it must weigh at least 10 tons. The remaining base must also weigh around 45 tons. Combined, it approaches 60 tons. Upon hearing this, Wang Fugui was momentarily taken aback, followed by an expression of regret. He suddenly raised his hand and, with a resounding slap, struck himself twice. "Oh dear, I have truly lost my wits. I only remembered that this machine is rated at 50 tons, forgetting that it was equipped with counterweights and a specialized arm. I nearly compromised the great hero due to my oversight." Yi Bai felt a twinge of embarrassment, realizing that the 2 million transformation robots were still lacking. If it were a D-class vehicle, it could easily lift the weight. Fortunately, all 10 E-class vehicles had been modified and upgraded, receiving system certification. Considering the time, they should have successfully upgraded by now. As if on cue, a system notification echoed in his mind. Chapter 140, System Upgrade Complete. D-class vehicle permissions unlocked. Just as Wang Fugui was consumed by regret, a flurry of crisp and melodious system notifications resonated in Yi Bai's mind. Ding! It has been detected that the host has completed vehicle modifications, but submission is pending, now auto-submitting. Submission successful. Rating result: E. Congratulations, host, for successfully completing the modification and upgrade task for 10 E-class vehicles. System upgrade task completed. Congratulations, host, for successfully unlocking D-class vehicle modification permissions. D-class vehicle permissions allows the use of anti-gravity levitation modules, plasma cloaking field generators, and miniaturized controllable nuclear fusion turbine engines, etc. Congratulations, host, for successfully unlocking the personal panel module. Personal panel module description. The host can view personal attributes through the panel. For each successful modification and upgrade of a D-Class vehicle, the host will receive one free attribute point, which can be allocated to various attributes on the personal panel. It has been detected that the host has unlocked D-Class vehicle modification permissions for the first time. A free attribute point has been awarded. The cascade of system notifications ignited a wave of euphoria within Yi Bai's mind. He immediately focused and opened his personal panel and thought. A light blue, technologically advanced data panel materialized in his mind. Host, Yi Bai, Strength, 62. Agility, 65. Constitution, 68. Mentality, 71. Endurance, 61. Overall evaluation, excellent. Ordinary person gazing at his attributes. Yi Bai nodded in satisfaction. It was within the standard range, with a maximum of 100. He was above passing. Without hesitation, he allocated the newly acquired free attribute point to endurance. In the next moment, he distinctly felt a warm surge within him, enhancing the resilience of his limbs. The data on the panel reflected this change, with endurance rising from 61 to 62. What thrilled him even more was the system's additional note. Endurance enhanced. Continuous operation time has increased from 2 hours and 20 minutes to 2 hours and 30 minutes. Goodness. Merely one attribute point had extended his operational capacity by 10 minutes. A fervent fire ignited within Yi Bai. This D-Class vehicle must be modified. Moreover, he intended to continue modifying. With a steady influx of free attribute points, he could potentially become a well-rounded warrior, akin to a real-life Captain America. At this moment, Wang Jiachuan approached with the group of excavator operators he had just rescued, surrounding Yi Bai and expressing their heartfelt gratitude. Master Yi, we cannot thank you enough. Without you, we would have surely perished today. Indeed, your skills are nothing short of miraculous. Yi Bai waved his hand dismissively, replying, you all are too kind. However, I suggest you check your vehicles for any issues. After being submerged in the mire for so long, it's likely they may have sustained some faults. Upon hearing this, the excavator operators immediately grasped the implication. Master Yi is right. Our machines must have issues. I think we should skip the inspection and just have you upgrade them. Exactly. We will need upgrades sooner or later. We trust Master Yi's expertise. A chorus of agreement arose, as they all sought Yi Bai's assistance in modifying their machines. Yi Bai, witnessing their eager expressions, felt a surge of joy but maintained an air of modesty, saying, let me first take a look and check things out. With that, he feigned a casual inspection, walking around the excavators that had just been rescued from the mire. In reality, he had quietly activated the system's batch scanning feature in his mind. Ding! Scanning target vehicles. Scan complete. The system's database promptly displayed detailed information about the excavators. He discovered that these machines encompassed small, medium, and large specifications, all possessing considerable modification potential. According to the system's assessment, small excavators could only be upgraded to E-Class, while medium and large excavators could be modified to D-Class. However, the requirements for transforming D-Class vehicles, including shock value and costs, increased exponentially. Initiating a D-Class modification alone required at least 20 to 30 million shock value, with modification costs exceeding 5 million. Yi Bai observed the earnest faces of the simple drivers before him, fully aware that such prices might be beyond their means. Just then, Wang Fuguei approached, pointing at the 60-ton behemoth that had lost its arm, and eagerly inquired, Master Yi, do you think my large excavator can be upgraded even further? Yi Bai nodded, responding, it is indeed possible. However, should one opt for the transformer modification plan I just mentioned, the cost of such alterations would commence at a staggering 5 million. How much? 5 million. Wang Fuguei was utterly astonished. The surrounding drivers, who had initially harbored great expectations, also gasped in disbelief upon hearing this figure, instantly abandoning any thoughts of modification. Although the products crafted by Yi Bai were indeed exceptional, the price was simply too daunting. Even if they were to sell everything they owned, they could not amass such a sum. Observing their expressions, Yi Bai understood their plight. Just then, his phone rang. It was Long Hantian calling. Yi Bai, my brother, do you remember the promise you made last time? I have prepared a military vehicle for modification on my end. When will you come to take a look? Yi Bai pondered for a moment and replied, how about 3 days from now? I will visit the military district then. After hanging up, not long after, Sun Ling's call came through. Brother Bai, great news. The first batch of new products we developed in collaboration with the Tianjin Fire Department has been successfully manufactured. That's fantastic. Yi Bai exclaimed, his heart swelling with joy. The audience in the live stream, upon hearing their conversation, also became exceedingly excited. New products? Is the rocket launcher fire extinguisher finally going into mass production? After waiting for so long, can I finally purchase it? Streamer, quickly tell us where to buy. I will place an order immediately. Watching the flurry of eager comments in the live stream, Yibai smiled and explained, everyone, please remain calm. We are still actively seeking partners for the production orders of the rocket launcher fire extinguishers, so that should be coming soon. However, this time, we are launching a brand new product in collaboration with the Tianjin Fire Department. Now, let me take you all to experience it. Upon hearing this, every viewer in the live stream was left in suspense, their anticipation heightened. Chapter 141. This is truly absurd. Using a machine gun as a fire extinguisher? After bidding farewell to the villagers, Yibai returned directly to the Yunxiao Auto Repair Shop. He adjusted the live stream camera and addressed the millions of eager viewers on the screen, saying, brothers, as you are all aware, we are currently in the midst of summer, and the high temperatures are persisting across the country. This situation poses an extremely severe challenge to our nation's fire safety. Various fire incidents are occurring frequently, and the firefighting tasks for our brave firefighters are becoming increasingly burdensome. Previously, we launched a rocket launcher fire extinguisher. While its extinguishing power is formidable, it has a significant drawback. It lacks durability. Once fired, it is spent. If the fire cannot be extinguished in one go, the cost of a subsequent shot is quite high. So, the question arises, is there a fire extinguishing product that is both economical and capable of sustained output? I tell you, my friends, there is. As Yibai's words stirred excitement, the workshop doors slowly opened. Sun Ling emerged, pushing a cart covered with a tricolor cloth. Yibai swiftly pulled away the cloth, revealing a strikingly sleek and powerful-looking device, reminiscent of a classic Gatling gun. Its 6 robust barrels were arranged in a honeycomb pattern, tightly bound together by a sturdy frame. The body was constructed from high-strength black alloy, gleaming with a cold metallic sheen. At the rear of the barrels was a complex ammunition system connected to a large high-pressure gas cylinder, with a thick feed belt extending from the adjacent ammo box to the gun's feed port. The entire apparatus was mounted on a stable triangular support, exuding an intimidating presence. As the viewers in the live stream comprehended the true nature of this new product, a profound silence enveloped the room. Moments later, the barrage of comments erupted like a volcano. What the hell? What am I looking at? Streamer, tell me this is a fire extinguisher? 66,666. You are truly outrageous. This is getting more absurd by the day. You dare to call this a firefighting product? You're not even pretending. I'm reporting this. No, I'm calling the police. Officer, this person not only possesses illegal arms, but also dares to sell them live. This is utterly lawless. It's over, it's over. The streamer has completely lost it. First, it was a rocket launcher, and now a Gatling gun. What's next? Driving a tank to put out fires? To be honest, even though I know this is ridiculous, why do I find it so cool? If this thing were available for purchase, I would sell everything just to get one. Observing the overwhelming comments, Yibai remained composed. He patted the firefighting machine gun beside him and cheerfully explained, everyone, please remain calm. I, Yibai, am a law-abiding citizen. I want to solemnly declare that this product by my side possesses the firefighting product certification issued by the Tianjin Fire Department and the production license for military units. Therefore, the production and sale of this item are entirely legal, with no issues whatsoever. Moreover, our intention behind developing this product is to better serve the public, enabling everyone to extinguish fires more efficiently and durably. To substantiate his claims and to provide a direct demonstration of the formidable capabilities of this firefighting machine gun, Yibai immediately arranged for Sun Ling to conduct a live fire extinguishing experiment. In the spacious backyard of the auto repair shop, staff members had prepared a row of blazing fire pits. The flames soared several meters high, fueled by accelerants, radiating searing heat that warped the surrounding air. Yibai stepped forward, donning protective goggles and thick gloves, gripping the handle of the firefighting machine gun tightly. Brothers, watch closely, he shouted, pressing the firing button with fervor. The next moment, a sound reminiscent of a true Gatling gun's barrage erupted throughout the entire auto repair shop. A rapid, exhilarating metallic roar. The 6 thick barrels began to spin at high speed, driven by electric motors. The tremendous recoil caused the entire gun to tremble violently, without the sturdy triangular support. It might have launched someone into the air. As the barrels whirled, countless projectiles were ejected from the gun's chamber in a frenzy. The only difference from an actual machine gun was that these projectiles were not deadly metal bullets, but solid dry ice fire extinguishing rounds made from ultra-high pressure. Countless white projectiles descended like a torrential downpour, forming an impenetrable barrage that swiftly enveloped the previously raging inferno. Upon contact with the flames, The solid dry ice fire-extinguishing rounds rapidly sublimated and vaporized, absorbing a substantial amount of heat. Simultaneously, the massive volume of carbon dioxide released instantaneously deprived the air of oxygen. In a matter of seconds, the once ferocious flames were subdued and extinguished at a visibly rapid pace. Only wisps of white smoke remained, curling gently into the air. The entire extinguishing process was clean, swift, and astonishingly efficient. Ding. Shock value 1000. Ding. Shock value 1200. In Yibai's mind, the shocking alert sounded like a barrage, echoing wildly. The audience in the live stream, after a brief moment of daze, erupted into a frenzy. Incredible. This comment is personally submitted to express the genuine shock in my heart at this moment. Goodness. The fire extinguishing effect is simply astonishing. This is no mere extinguisher. It is a veritable nemesis of fire. Stop talking. I can't wait. Host, hurry and share the link. I want to buy it now. Immediately. I'm in Yang City. Our company needs to procure 5 sets. No, 10 sets. Host, please reserve them for me. I'm in Magic City. The property management in my community asked me to inquire if we can group purchase 6 sets. Any discounts, host? The barrage of purchase requests instantly flooded the screen. Everyone was thoroughly captivated by the sheer power and efficiency of this firefighting machine gun. However, in the face of the audience's fervent desire to buy, Yibai nonchalantly waved his hand, revealing a smile that hinted at profound mysteries. Everyone, please remain calm. We are just getting started. You don't even know the true purpose of this firefighting machine gun yet. Chapter 142. No acting, just selling weapons? Upon hearing Yibai's words, the audience in the live stream was momentarily stunned. True purpose. ISNT, this firefighting machine gun meant for extinguishing fires? How else could it be used? Could it possibly be used for combat? Doge. Host, stop keeping us in suspense. Just tell us. It's torture to speak halfway while eating instant noodles without a seasoning packet, and to have toilet paper fall into the pit. Agreed with the comment above, praised the comment above, cursed the host. Yibai glanced at the curious comments on the screen, smiled slightly, and gestured to Sun Ling behind him. Soon, under Sun Ling's direction, 10 staff members wheeled out 10 identical firefighting machine guns from the workshop. They lined up these formidable weapons, embodying a violent aesthetic, neatly in the backyard. The dark gun muzzles pointed outward, creating an unsettling sight just through the camera. But was this truly the end? Absolutely not. There was more to come. These were merely the appetizers. The main course was yet to unfold. Next, another 10 staff members approached, each carrying a ruggedly designed rocket launcher fire extinguisher. They precisely placed these individual rocket launchers in the gaps between the 10 firefighting machine guns. In an instant, the entire backyard was charged with an aura of impending battle. 10 Gatling guns and 10 rocket launchers. This display and formation bore no resemblance to a firefighting drill. It was unmistakably an arms showcase. All viewers in the live stream were astounded by this terrifying spectacle. Wow, wow, wow. Host, you are truly not putting on an act at all. Goodness. Last time it was individual combat. Now we are going for positional warfare, right? I hereby declare, Yinshao Auto Repair Factory is officially renamed Yinshao Armory. Who is in favor? Who is against? This is outrageous. Absolutely mind-blowing. I am genuinely eager to witness the apocalyptic scene when these 10 firefighting cannons unleash their full firepower. Seeing the audience's emotions fully ignited, Yibai began to tease them further. He cleared his throat and addressed the camera. Brothers, do you wish to see a true saturation firefighting rescue? If so, it's simple. If we can reach 1 million likes and 10,000 shares in the live stream, I will immediately showcase it. Upon hearing this, the previously modest audience of over 8,000 was instantly ignited with fervor. Brothers, what are you waiting for? Hit that like button. Go crazy. Share. Everyone. Start sharing. Bring all your relatives over. To see the Host S Arms showcase, I'm all in. In an instant, the background data of the live stream began to surge at an alarming rate. The likes count, which started at over 10,000, skyrocketed to over 100,000 in the blink of an eye, then to 200,000, 500,000, 800,000. In less than a minute, the likes count surged past the million mark. Furthermore, this number continued to rise without pause. 130,000, 160,000. Soon, it was on the verge of reaching 200,000. Even Yibai, the instigator, was taken aback by the rapid surge. He had never anticipated such enthusiasm from the audience. Not only the likes, but with the fervent sharing from the 8,000 old viewers. A tidal wave of new viewers began flooding into Yibai's live stream. The online count was skyrocketing at a visible rate. 10,000, 20,000, in mere moments. It broke through 30,000. As these new viewers entered, upon seeing the array of 10 Gatling guns and 10 rocket launchers on screen, they all erupted in laughter. Wow! Did I stumble into the wrong place? Is it really this open in the country now? People are actually daring to livestream selling weapons? What is going on? Whose private army is this? This is incredible. What are you guys doing up front? Quickly, an old viewer stepped in to clarify. Newcomers, don't ask. Just like, share. The host said that once we hit 1 million likes and 10,000 shares, we'll see the firepower unleashed. Upon hearing this, the newcomers instantly understood. Such a delightful prospect. They immediately joined the ranks of likers and sharers. 1 shared to 10, 10 to 100. Amid this terrifying viral spread, the livestream's metrics spiraled out of control. The likes soared as if propelled by a rocket, quickly surpassing 5 to 6 million. Meanwhile, the number of online viewers exploded like a rolling snowball. 50,000, 80,000. Yibai watched in disbelief as the online count surged from a mere few thousand to over 100,000. This was an unprecedented spectacle in his streaming career. He never anticipated that these seemingly cold arms would hold such a lure for the audience. As a surge of new viewers flooded in, the barrage of comments became even more colorful, filled with a joyous atmosphere. Front row seats. Claiming a spot. I heard there's a military parade to watch. A friend told me there's going to be a large-scale military exercise here. I rushed over just for this. No way. I heard that we're about to fight aliens here. This is the last line of defense for Earth's army. A variety of absurd and humorous rumors began to circulate wildly in the comments, leaving Yibai both amused and exasperated. As the growth rate of online viewers began to slow down, and the likes reached an astonishing 10 million, Yibai knew it was time to act. He took a deep breath, walked behind the firefighting equipment, and smiled at the camera. Brothers, thank you for your enthusiasm. Now, let us together witness a miracle. With a surge of energy, he issued the long-awaited command. All units. Target, the inferno ahead. Unleash full firepower. Chapter 143. One might wonder if the flames of war are indeed fire. As Yibai's order resonated, a formidable line composed of 10 firefighting machine guns and 10 rocket-propelled extinguishers erupted with a cataclysmic force. The sound of gunfire and rocket blasts filled the air, a symphony of violence and beauty echoing into the heavens. The barrels of the machine guns spun wildly, propelled by electric motors, unleashing a torrential downpour of solid-state dry ice extinguishing projectiles, creating an impenetrable white barrage directed at the raging flames ahead. Simultaneously, the rocket extinguishers emitted brilliant tails of flame. 10 firefighting projectiles, trailing long white streaks, soared through the sky, striking the heart of the blaze with thunderous precision. In that instant, bullets and shells soared together. The entire backyard was enveloped in a dense, white mist of dry ice. The raging flames, and even the metal fire pits filled with accelerants were obliterated under this relentless, carpet-bombing firepower, reduced to mere fragments. The powerful shockwaves made the ground tremble beneath the feet of bystanders, leaving them awestruck and bewildered. My heavens! Have we entered the realm of power? Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of viewers in the live stream, after a brief silence akin to a system crash, were utterly ignited by the breathtaking spectacle before them. Oh my! This is absolutely staggering. This is true saturation rescue, pure firepower coverage. This isn't extinguishing a fire. It's warfare. I feel like I'm witnessing the Normandy landing, not a fire drill. Absolutely ferocious. I would call this the pinnacle of violent aesthetics. Yibai, observing the barrage of astonished comments in the live stream, couldn't he help but chuckle. They were all correct. But can we not simply call it the flames of war? Hearing this, the viewers erupted into laughter. All right. Is this how we're playing it? Conceptual firefighting, is it? So abstract. I can't even argue against that. This host must be followed decisively, because I fear that one day, he might just vanish. Seeing the atmosphere reach its zenith, Yibai knew it was time to reap the harvest. Clearing his throat, he announced loudly, "Brothers, the thrilling moment has arrived. Our powerful and exceptional Gatling firefighting machine gun, originally priced at $998, is now available for just $688 in my live stream. Moreover, if our online viewer count surpasses 200,000, I will further reduce it by 300. Just 388. Take home your firefighting machine gun for only 388. His words were like cold water splashed into a pot of boiling oil, causing the live stream to erupt into chaos. What? 388? No way. Did I hear that correctly? Host, please repeat. To think that in foreign lands, a genuine Gatling gun is priced by the blade. A brand new, authentic firearm on the international arms market starts at no less than $300,000 USD. Ordinary people, even if wealthy, would have no access. And now, a firefighting machine gun, nearly identical in appearance and capable of firing projectiles, is available for just 388 Dragon Kingdom coins? Whoever doesn't buy this must be utterly deranged. Brothers, why are you still dawdling? Gather your friends. For the 388 Gatling, I have no regrets entering Huaxia. In my next life, I will be a Dragon Kingdom citizen. Charge. Bring your classmates, colleagues, relatives, friends, and even distant relatives. Just say their SA treasure here. In an instant, the audience's enthusiasm ignited. They began sharing Yi Bai's live stream with a fervor bordering on madness across all their social circles. The number of online viewers surged once more, reminiscent of a tsunami. 150,000. 180,000. Within mere minutes, the live stream viewer count not only comfortably surpassed the critical threshold of 200,000, but also approached the staggering figure of 300,000 with unstoppable momentum. Ultimately, the number stabilized at an impressive 280,000. Beside him, Sun Ling gazed at the glaring red number on her phone's back end, almost unable to believe her eyes. She never imagined that her small, obscure live stream could attract nearly 300,000 simultaneous viewers. This rivaled the popularity of some second-tier celebrities. Yi Bai, observing this scene, merely smiled faintly. As the atmosphere reached its peak, he was about to have Sun Ling connect the links when suddenly, the heavy iron door of the repair shop was pounded upon with urgency. Initially indifferent, he soon realized that the persistent knocking grew increasingly insistent, as if the person outside was determined to break the door down. With a resigned furrow of his brow, he paused the live-streaming sales process, told the camera to hold on, and approached the door, curious as to who would dare disrupt his impending fortune. However, when he opened the door, he was taken aback. Standing outside were several stern-faced police officers in blue uniforms and caps. Yi Bai's heart sank. Although he knew his paperwork was in order, he was nonetheless curious about the situation. The 280,000 viewers in the live stream, witnessing this unexpected turn of events through Yi Bai's camera, were equally intrigued. What is happening? Why are the police here? What did the host do? Did the noise earlier attract official attention? As the audience speculated, the leading officer scrutinized Yi Bai with piercing eyes, then displayed his badge. Addressing him in a tone that brooked no argument, "We received reports from the public about a large-scale gunfight occurring here. Please accompany us for questioning." At these words, the audience of 280,000 was collectively stunned. Holy moly, the police have truly come knocking. This is going to be entertaining. Police comrades, you must be mistaken. Yi Bai raised his hands, an innocent expression on his face. This is an auto repair shop. How could there possibly be a gunfight? The leading officer frowned, clearly skeptical of his words. No gunfight. Then what about the sound akin to machine gun fire reported in dozens of calls we just received? Oh, that sound. Yi Bai suddenly understood. He gestured towards the row of extinguishers in the backyard. That SR Factory's newly developed firefighting product, the firefighting machine gun. We were just testing its performance. Firefighting machine gun. The gaze of the police officer sharpened as he questioned, "You, a mere auto repair shop owner, can develop and manufacture firefighting equipment?" With that, he and several colleagues strode directly into the yard of the repair shop. Upon witnessing the 10 Gatling guns and 10 rocket launchers, even these seasoned officers could not suppress a gasp of astonishment. Yi Bai understood that mere verbal explanations would be futile. He promptly instructed Sun Ling to present all the prepared qualification documents. "Officer, here are our collaborative documents with the Tianjing Fire Department, our product's fire safety certification, and this," he continued, "is the special production qualification granted by a military establishment." The leading officer took the documents with skepticism. However, upon seeing the bright red official seals, he was rendered utterly speechless. An auto repair shop with fire safety qualifications, though rare. It wasn't impossible, but military qualifications? That was beyond belief. Approaching the row of firefighting machine guns, he scrutinized them closely, even reaching out to touch the cold metallic bodies. As a police officer, he had the privilege of handling real machine guns during training. He noted that the weight, feel, and chilling heaviness of the metal were nearly indistinguishable from real firearms. Doubts crept into his mind. While the presence of military qualifications was concerning, could they so brazenly sell arms in a live stream? However, he recalled the documents bearing the signature of Secretary de Kong. He realized that this young man had a close partnership with Secretary de Kong. Without solid evidence, he hesitated to obstruct the normal business activities of the establishment. Words alone are insufficient. Yi Bai perceived his skepticism and smiled, saying, "Shall I provide a live demonstration for the officers?" Upon this, He instructed Sun Ling to relight several fire pits. The officers exchanged glances, reluctant to decline, as they, too, were curious. However, one warned. Everything is being recorded by law enforcement cameras, and if any illegal activities occur, you will face the consequences. No problem at all, officer. Keep your eyes peeled. And do not blink, Yi Bai declared, issuing the command to fire. No, to extinguish. The thunderous sound of gunfire erupted once again. The ferocious dry ice projectiles and whistling firefighting rockets obliterated the flames in an instant, right before the astonished eyes of the police officers. The terrifying recoil, the deafening roar, and the earth-shattering extinguishing effect left even these battle-hardened officers with tingling scalps. Incredible. If this is used for firefighting, it's simply a game-changer. After the demonstration, silence enveloped the scene. The officers remained immersed in the overwhelming display of violent fire suppression, struggling to regain their composure. Is this reasonable? Is this a fire extinguisher? Tell me, whose fire extinguisher operates like this? Yi Bai approached them, smiling as he inquired. How do you feel, comrades? Our product performs quite admirably, doesn't it? Currently, I am running a promotional event in the live stream. This firefighting machine gun is available for just 388 per unit. The rocket launcher fire extinguisher is even more affordable at only 128. Would you like to consider acquiring a few sets for your department? The leading officer finally snapped back to reality. Clearing his throat, he attempted to maintain his composure, yet his eyes still betrayed an undeniable longing. How could one resist such an enticing offer? Even without the need for fire suppression, it would be thrilling to experience. Ahem. I am currently on duty and do not have the authority to procure equipment for the department, he stated earnestly. Then, in a hushed tone only he and Yi Bai could hear, he added, however, I suspect my wife will place an order in your live stream shortly. I wonder if the shipment can be prioritized? The officer continued. Of course, Yi Bai replied, understanding the implication. Consider these few sets a gift to support our police force's firefighting efforts. That is unacceptable. The officer's expression hardened upon hearing this. He glanced at the live camera behind Yi Bai, and with righteous indignation, he proclaimed, We, the People's Police, cannot casually accept any gifts from the public. I assure you, we will pay for this ourselves. We firmly oppose any form of corruption. His words rang with conviction, reverberating powerfully. The nearly 300,000 viewers in the live stream erupted with excitement at the scene. Wow, even Uncle Hat is placing an order. What is there to hesitate about? The officials are leading the charge. I'm in. Streamer, stop stalling. Get the link up. My wallet is eager. Let's go. For the 388 Gatling gun. As the enthusiasm of the viewers surged, Yi Bai seized the moment and instructed Sun Ling, post the link. Start with 100,000 orders. He intended to remind everyone to act within their means and consume rationally. However, before he could utter the words, the entire stock of 100,000 units vanished in an instant, right before their eyes. Gone. It happened in mere breaths. 100,000 orders, gone in a second. The speed of the process felt surreal. What? It's all gone. I had just clicked in. Who is it that has such lightning-fast fingers? Streamer. Add more stock. I didn't manage to get any. Yi Bai, witnessing the instantaneous depletion of inventory, was thoroughly astonished by the viewer's remarkable purchasing power. How long have you all been single with such speed? It's off the charts. Chapter 145. What? Uncle Hat has also made a purchase? Observing the instant depletion of stock, Yi Bai swiftly calculated the profits in his mind. Each firefighting machine gun was priced at 388 yuan, after deducting materials, labor, and the share for the Tianjin Fire Department. The overall cost was approximately 188 yuan. This meant that for every unit sold, he could net a profit of 200 yuan. The recent order of 100,000 units was almost entirely for the firefighting machine guns. 100,000 units multiplied by 200 yuan equated to a staggering 20 million yuan in net profit. Yi Bai's heart raced with excitement. Wealth had finally come his way. The money he had painstakingly earned from modifying cars, engaging in live streaming, and battling bullies paled in comparison to this sum. He finally grasped why so many people were eager to dive into live commerce. The money flowed in far too swiftly. The events of the past were not without reason. Who could resist such temptation? Pansy and Gotzi merely lacked a smidgen of self-control. No shame in that. Suppressing his inner excitement, Yi Bai addressed the live stream camera, reassuring the viewers who had missed out. Brothers, please remain calm. For those who couldn't snag an order, don't lose heart. Our Yinshao Auto Repair Shop guarantees. In light of the impending orders, we shall dedicate ourselves to production, working diligently to ensure that every friend who supports us can utilize our products. After assuaging the audience's concerns, Yi Bai concluded this miraculous livestream. The police officers, having confirmed that this was not a criminal den and that Yi Bai possessed legitimate operational credentials, withdrew. Before departing, the lead officer cast Yi Bai a knowing glance. Once the livestream ended, Sun Ling immediately returned to her intense and bustling work, needing to contact more manufacturers to handle the influx of orders arriving like snowflakes. Meanwhile, Yi Bai remained in place, opening the system panel to review the gains from this livestream. Aside from the staggering profit of 20 million, he was even more delighted by the meteoric rise in his shock value. In just this one livestream, he amassed over 1 million in shock value. Furthermore, as the livestream video continued to circulate and gain traction online, he knew that additional shock value would steadily flow in. Indeed, in the hours that followed, Yi Bai's system backend received 1 to 2 million in shock value almost every hour. It felt akin to witnessing a bull market. He sat there, effortlessly checking his shock value balance, watching it grow by the second. A day later, as the fervor of public opinion peaked, he ultimately harvested a remarkable total of 28 million in shock value. Coupled with his previous balance, his total shock value now reached an astonishing 30 million. Gazing at the lengthy numeral on the system panel, Yi Bai felt a surge of ambition. With this considerable amount of shock value, he was now fully capable of modifying a basic D-class vehicle. Returning to the present, Yi Bai contemplated his imminent enrollment at Qingbei University in the capital, realizing that he could not rely on taxis or the subway for daily commutes. It was time to acquire a more respectable luxury car. Moreover, after purchasing a vehicle, he could utilize his newly unlocked D-class permissions for a proper modification, achieving 2 objectives in one endeavor. Resolute, he made his way to the largest nearby 4S dealership. Upon entering the opulently adorned showroom, he was momentarily dazzled by the array of top-tier luxury cars, including Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Ferrari, and Lamborghini. However, it was not merely the vehicles that captivated him. The saleswoman attending to him was equally mesmerizing, dressed in a fitted professional ensemble complemented by alluring black stockings. Her curvaceous figure, especially the impressive contours of her chest, rendered him unable to divert his gaze. Each time she bent to open a car door for him, the subtle charm she exuded quickened his heartbeat. Just as Yi Bai was enraptured by the saleswoman and poised to purchase a striking red Ferrari, he suddenly noticed thick plumes of smoke rising in the distance. Upon closer inspection, he realized the smoke was emanating from a construction site near the 4S dealership. A fire had broken out. Soon, the air was filled with the shrill sound of fire alarms as several fire trucks sped to the scene. However, upon arrival, they discovered the situation to be more dire than anticipated. The fire originated from the top floor of an unfinished skyscraper, towering hundreds of meters above the ground. The high-pressure hoses on the fire trucks could not reach such heights, and even the tallest fire ladder fell short. Fortunately, firefighters quickly retrieved Yi Bai's factory-produced rocket-powered fire extinguishers for remote firefighting. Regrettably, these individual rocket launchers utilized dry ice and had a mere effective range of a few meters, insufficient for a building of this height. Consequently, the rescue effort fell into a stalemate. Although the fire brigade was present, they could only watch helplessly as the flames escalated. At that moment, Yi Bai's phone rang urgently. It was Jin Yang, the secretary to the district secretary. Upon answering, he heard Jin Yang's frantic voice, nearly breaking with urgency. "Boss Yi, this is an emergency. Lives are at stake. You must help us." Hearing his anxious tone and glancing at the blazing building outside, Yi Bai felt a flicker of realization and calmly asked, "Secretary Jin, is the fire at the construction site nearby?" "How did you know?" Jin Yang exclaimed, astonished. "How could you possibly foresee this? Could it be that it's happening right before my eyes?" Yi Bai replied with a playful wink. Chapter 146. Buying a luxury car at the 4S dealership amidst a construction site blaze? Realizing the implication, Jin Yang began to plead frantically. "Comrade Yi Bai, I know you have a solution, right? You must help me." His voice was laden with desperation. Yi Bai, observing the inferno consuming the building, furrowed his brow and inquired, "Is this building significant?" "It appears to be just another ordinary residential development. I don't know its significance, but I do know that if it is lost, our district will suffer tremendous losses." Jin Yang's voice trembled with urgency. Yi Bai, taken aback, asked, "Is that for real?" Jin Yang hurriedly clarified, "The real estate development company behind this project owes us over 10 million. It was agreed that they would repay us as soon as the building was completed and sales began. If this structure fails to be finished, their financial chain will surely break. They could declare bankruptcy, and we would never recover our 10 million. Yi Bai's heart raced at this revelation. This was a classic case of a debtor evading responsibility. Moreover, the timing of this fire was suspicious, leading him to suspect foul play. It seemed evident that someone was deliberately setting the fire to escape their debts. This was utterly infuriating. As expected, this incident was likely linked to Zhang Debiao. Jin Yang added. While investigating Zhang Debiao's criminal network, the police discovered that several executives from this real estate company frequently visited various upscale hotels with him over a period. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen obstacles, this lead could not be pursued further. At this point, Yi Bai comprehended the gravity of the situation. This was no ordinary fire. It was a calculated act of criminality orchestrated by malevolent forces. The other party had already had a past grievance with Yi Bai. To naively assume that they would not create trouble would be akin to burying one's head in the sand, leaving oneself vulnerable to attack. Such social maladies must be dealt with resolutely. Yi Bai spoke into the phone, his voice low and firm. Secretary Jean, I do indeed have a new batch of fire extinguishers here, far more powerful than the previous ones. They should suffice to extinguish this raging fire. However, these extinguishers have been reserved by online users, and it would be difficult to explain if I were to use them directly. Upon hearing this, Jin Ming immediately seized the opportunity and replied without hesitation, buy them. We, at the Dufu, will purchase them. Brother Yi, name your price. We will accept any amount. If only our previous firefighting helicopter were still in service, we could have easily controlled this fire. Unfortunately, due to budget constraints, we had to sell it off recently. But this time, we must secure your new equipment at all costs. Lacking funds, Yi Bai was curious. How could such a large city like Huadu be so financially strapped that it could not even afford to maintain a firefighting helicopter? He almost posed the question, but refrained. On the other end, Jin Yang, somewhat evasive, said, don't mention it. It's just that there's been a bit of a hole in the finances. Hearing this, Yi Bai furrowed his brow, a cold smile creeping across his lips. He could surmise that this so-called financial hole likely had something to do with Secretary Dekong. However, he chose not to delve deeper. Since the Dufu would foot the bill, he would not take advantage of the situation by inflating prices. He decided to charge the standard price from his live stream. Trusting in the Dufu's credibility, they could provide assistance in the disaster first and settle payment later. Having finalized the matter, Yi Bai hung up the phone and began coordinating personnel. He first called Sun Ling, only to find that she had flown out of town overnight to negotiate with a new factory for production expansion and would not return anytime soon. He then called Sun Jishui, who was also out of town, helping the factory with logistics. In desperation, he turned to his uncle, Xiao Yunshan. Upon learning that he needed help transporting fire extinguishers to tackle a life-threatening blaze, Xiao Yunshan wasted no time and immediately procured a delivery vehicle, hurrying to the Yunxiao Auto Repair Factory to pick up the goods. However, when he arrived and opened the warehouse door, he was taken aback. Instead of seeing any fire extinguishers, he was confronted with rows of menacing, black machine guns mounted on tripods. He quickly called Yi Bai. Nephew, have you made a mistake? There are no fire extinguishers here. Only machine guns. Yi Bai replied nonchalantly. Uncle, you did not missee. Those machine guns are the fire extinguishers. Xiao Yunshan was left flabbergasted. Is this real? Nephew, time is of the essence. Don't worry about the details. Get the workers to load the gear and take it to the fire scene. Yi Bai urged over the phone. Though Xiao Yunshan was filled with doubts, he understood that this was not the time for questions. He immediately directed the workers to carefully load the firefighting machine guns onto the truck. Soon, the vehicle laden with equipment arrived at the construction site engulfed in flames. Xiao Yunshan jumped out, gazing at the towering inferno and feeling the searing heat wash over him. Unease settling in his heart as he looked at the newly unloaded machine guns, uncertain of their effectiveness. Nephew, are you sure these will work in a fire? He questioned anxiously. Yi Bai chuckled, just try it, and you'll find out. He patted Xiao Yunshan on the shoulder and walked directly toward the command center of the firefighting team. As he approached, a firefighter, frantically directing operations, recognized him immediately. You are Yi Bai, Master Yi? Yi Bai was taken aback. You know me? The firefighter, brimming with excitement, replied, of course. In our latest fire safety training, you were the founder of our new rocket launcher fire extinguishers. Your name is well known throughout the national firefighting system. Yi Bai smiled at this and pointed to the line of newly arrived firefighting machine guns, addressing the assembled firefighters with a booming voice. Since you all know me, I shall not waste time. Now, I present to you an even mightier weapon. Are you confident in extinguishing this blaze completely? The firefighters, upon hearing his words and catching sight of the formidable weaponry he gestured to, instantly ignited with excitement. Yes, we are confident, they exclaimed in unison, their voices ringing with determination and eagerness to tackle the inferno with the new equipment. Satisfied, Yi Bai nodded and called out to his uncle Xiao Yinshan, "Uncle, load the gear." The firefighters rushed forward to assist in unloading the canvas-covered fire extinguishers from the truck. However, when they revealed the true nature of the equipment, shock washed over everyone. What? These are machine guns. Using machine guns as fire extinguishers? Is this for real? Seeing the astonished expressions, Yi Bai wasted no time and stepped forward to conduct a demonstration. He set up one of the firefighting machine guns on its tripod and aimed the ominous barrel at the source of the fire on the towering building overhead. "Make sure you don't misfire and jolt it out of place," he cautioned before pulling the trigger. The rapid, adrenaline-pumping sound of gunfire erupted into the air. Under the incredulous gazes of all present, countless white dry ice projectiles soared into the sky, trailing streaks like a meteor shower, precisely targeting the inferno hundreds of meters above. Although the extinguishing effect of a single dry ice projectile was relatively weak, the rapid fire rate and sheer volume made up for it. The barrage of projectiles quickly covered a small area, and to everyone's astonishment, the flames that had been raging began to visibly subside. My goodness, it can actually reach that high. This effect is incredible. The firefighters were left in awe, especially considering they were using machine guns. Yi Bai released the trigger and shouted to the crowd, "What are you waiting for? Quickly, rally the people. Have everyone come and help. Set up these machine guns properly. Find good positions and unleash a barrage." One firefighter quickly reacted, grabbing a megaphone and running to the perimeter, calling out to the onlookers, "Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, the fire is urgent. We need your strength. Let us all come together and use these guns to extinguish the flames." The onlookers, who had been watching from a distance, erupted in excitement upon hearing this announcement. "What? We can use machine guns. Additionally, is it possible to experience the exhilarating sensation of being a hero and extinguishing fires firsthand? Such a delightful opportunity." In an instant, excitement surged through the crowd as everyone rushed toward the scene. "Can I join? Can I?" A robust young man was the first to dash forward. Of course. A child, seemingly no more than 7 or 8 years old, squeezed in, gazing up with eager anticipation. "Uncle, can I too?" "Absolutely. Let your father hold you while you shoot." In no time, everyone was filled with fervor, rushing over to wield the machine guns. Oh no. I mean to assist in extinguishing the fire. The atmosphere at the disaster site transformed dramatically. The air was filled with the rhythmic sound of machine gun fire. The cacophony was so loud that it caught the attention of drivers passing by and residents of nearby homes, who curiously peered out to see what was happening. Seizing this vibrant scene, Yi Bai quickly initiated a live broadcast. Thus, when thousands of viewers flooded into the stream, they were greeted by a scene that could only be described as surreal. On the broad road, dozens of Gatling guns stood in a row, with individuals of all ages enthusiastically unleashing a barrage toward a towering building engulfed in flames. The deafening sound of gunfire echoed incessantly. The viewers in the live chat were utterly bewildered. What the hell? Am I seeing this right? Have we genuinely entered a war-torn country? Goodness. The sound of gunfire is everywhere. I thought the Eagles were invading our homeland. Could it be an alien invasion? Is that building a forward base for extraterrestrials? Is the host leading the masses in revolt? This is astonishing. The sight of an entire populace armed is absolutely electrifying. Observing the flurry of astonishment and speculation flooding the chat, Yi Bai couldn't help but chuckle. He swiftly directed the camera toward the blazing building above. "Brothers, do not misunderstand. We are here to extinguish the fire," Yi Bai clarified. As viewers discerned that the concentrated white barrage was indeed aimed at the source of the flames, and that the inferno was visibly being suppressed, they finally grasped the situation. Subsequently, a wave of envy and resentment washed over the entire chat room. Why didn't such a splendid event occur here? I wish I were there. If I could just touch that thing, I could boast about it for a year. Indeed, not only do we get to experience the thrill of firing a machine gun for free, but we also get to be heroes in firefighting. This is double the joy. I feel like I've missed out on a fortune. When will the fire extinguisher I ordered arrive? I've been waiting ages. Isn't this much more entertaining than using real guns? Our country is indeed brimming with martial spirit. If this gets out, won't it terrify people? Truly, every inch of this vast land has not come without a cost. Luo Lan, speak for me, speak for me. I. In an instant, the chat was filled with lamentations. All those not present felt they had missed a monumental opportunity. Meanwhile, Yi Bai's sense of shock value was skyrocketing at an alarming rate. He had initially intended to continue the broadcast longer to garner more shock value. However, he clearly underestimated the public's enthusiasm for firing weapons. Under the relentless, overwhelming firepower of the dozens of firefighting machine guns, before the firefighters could devise a better solution, The once raging inferno atop the building was utterly extinguished. The entire process took less than 30 minutes. Chapter 148. The fire is out, but the people's passion burns bright. Stop. Everyone halt. As the flames atop the building were entirely quelled, leaving only wisps of smoke, Uncle Xiao Yunshan hurriedly advanced, shouting for everyone to cease. The fire is out. It's all extinguished. You can stop now. However, those who were caught up in the excitement, reveling in the exhilarating bursts of gunfire, showed no signs of stopping. They seemed driven by an insatiable fervor, holding tightly to the triggers, continuing their frenetic assault on the building. Their determination suggested they would not relent until it was reduced to rubble. The sound of gunfire persisted, until the ammunition boxes were completely emptied. Producing a clattering sound of emptiness, they finally ceased, albeit reluctantly. Yi Bai, witnessing the spectacle, couldn't help but chuckle. He lifted his phone, addressing the ongoing live stream. Secretary Jean, dear Secretary Jean, you must have seen this. This is not my waste of ammunition. This is all initiated by our hospitable citizens of Huadu, who eagerly requested to empty the magazines. Therefore, when it comes time for the bill, we can't forget to include the cost of these bullets, can we? The viewers in the live stream erupted in laughter upon witnessing this scene. Ha! Secretary Jean is probably in his office, secretly reveling in this. A major fire was resolved so effortlessly. This is a monumental achievement. Would he concern himself with the cost of bullets? Exactly. Host, rest assured to calculate boldly. Not a penny less. Forget that. Host, hurry up and ramp up production. We can hardly wait. Just then, the child who had previously inquired of Yi Bai approached once more. Tugging at Yi Bai's sleeve, he looked up with an expression full of hope and desire. Big brother. Is that machine gun yours? Yi Bai curiously replied. Yes, why? The child eagerly asked, can we reload it with more bullets? I haven't had enough fun yet. Yi Bai burst into laughter at the child's words, nearly doubling over. The fire on the upper floors may have been extinguished, but the public's fervor for firing weapons was indelibly ignited. He crouched down, ruffled the child's hair, and smiled. Well, you'll have to ask our Huadu prefect, Secretary Jean, about that. He is the one footing the bill for this batch of ammunition. Secretary Jean? The child blinked. Where is he? He should be in the office building of the Huadu prefecture, Yi Bai mused. All right. The child nodded vigorously, then turned and dashed off, shouting back, Big brother. Wait for me. Don't leave. I'm going to find my classmates so we can ask him together. Watching the group of children dart off like little whirlwinds, Yi Bai shook his head with a smile. He could almost foresee that Secretary Jin's office would be anything but peaceful today. Just then, the firefighter captain who recognized Yi Bai approached, accompanied by several equally excited and grateful team members. They clasped Yi Bai's hand tightly, shaking it with fervor. Their faces a mix of admiration and excitement. Master Yi, we cannot thank you enough. On behalf of all the firefighters of Huadu, I extend our sincerest gratitude. Without you and the innovative equipment you provided, we truly would not have known how to handle this blaze. Yi Bai waved his hand, humbly responding, You're too kind. Captain, I merely happened to be in the right place at the right time. However, I still suggest that if Huadu Fire Department indeed has the funds, it would be wise to procure some of these new devices from our factory. After all, it is never a bad thing to prepare for the unexpected. Upon hearing this, the fire captain, intrigued, inquired, Master Yi, may I boldly ask, is this remarkably powerful firefighting machine gun not a product of your collaboration with our Huadu Fire Department? I have never heard of it before. Not at all, Yi Bai replied, shaking his head. It was developed in conjunction with the Tianjing Fire Department. You Huadu Fire Department did not dare to pursue it. His words fell like a heavy bomb upon the calm surface of a lake. The firefighters present, who had just experienced the might of the new equipment, erupted in disbelief. What? Such an impressive piece of equipment, and our Huadu Fire Department turned it down. A young firefighter exclaimed, wide-eyed in disbelief. What a joke. If not for these firefighting machine guns today, we might not have been able to extinguish the blaze. Why would we not dare to pursue such an excellent tool? Another firefighter added, indignantly. A more seasoned firefighter sighed and snorted in disdain. What else could it be? It's all because of Secretary Jin Yang. He is far too conservative. He seeks stability in everything, fearing responsibility and shunning innovation. He refuses to embrace new ideas. So let us ensure he accepts some traditional ones. The young firefighter passionately declared, raising his arm. Let us go, brothers. We're heading to the governor's office to confront him and question where he places the safety of our firefighters and the property of the people. Yes, let us go find him. A fervent group of firefighters indeed set off toward the governor's office. Yi Bai did not anticipate that his simple explanation would provoke two factions to seek out trouble with Jin Yang. However, he felt no sympathy for Jin Yang. After all, his adherence to outdated norms was, in Yi Bai's eyes, a form of negligent governance. To be indecisive is to invite chaos. At that moment, his uncle, Xiao Yunshan, approached, observing the departing firefighters with a thoughtful expression. "Nephew, are those machine guns being taken back now?" "Indeed," Yi Bai nodded. "Thank you, uncle. Please drive safely on the way back." Xiao Yunshan directed the workers to begin loading the emptied firefighting machine guns back onto the truck. Noticing Yi Bai's reluctance to leave, he asked, "Aren't you coming back with me?" Yi Bai pointed to a nearby 4S car dealership, still brightly lit under the night sky, and smiled. "I haven't bought a car yet. I'm about to attend Qingbei University. I can't be taking a ride-hailing service or the subway every day. That would be too demeaning." Upon hearing this, a knowing smile crept onto Xiao Yunshan's face. Chapter 149, Taking on New Business, Modifying the GTR. Seeing that mischievous smile on his uncle's face, Yi Bai felt a twinge of caution rise within him. "Uncle, with that grin, what mischief are you planning?" "Hey, you little rascal. How dare you speak of your uncle like that?" Xiao Yunshan replied, feigning indignation, patting his chest. "I am your dear uncle. What bad deeds could I possibly do? My intentions are purely benevolent." Leaning closer to Yi Bai, he whispered conspiratorially, "You're looking to buy a car, right? I have a friend at a dealership, and she has an abundance of luxury vehicles. If you could help her modify one, with your skills, she might even gift you a car. That would save you a fortune." Yi Bai's eyes lit up. "Uncle, you know the owner of the dealership?" "Of course," Xiao Yunshan replied with pride. "Though I'm not very familiar with the owner, I'm quite close with her best friend." Yi Bai's curiosity piqued. "Who is her best friend?" Xiao Yunshan grinned and revealed a name that took Yi Bai by surprise. "It's the principal of Inkai Kindergarten, Xiao Rian." "Wow," Yi Bai exclaimed, utterly astonished. However, a moment later, he became concerned. "Uncle, is that dealership reliable? What if the car they send me is only worth a few $100,000? That would be too low-end." "Rest assured," Xiao Yunshan said, patting his shoulder. "This is one of the top luxury car dealers in the country. They have not only regular luxury cars, but also some limited edition models from around the world." Hearing this, Yi Bai felt a surge of excitement. "Now that sounds intriguing." With a smile, Xiao Yunshan remarked, "Didn't you promise to help Xiao Rian modify a car? Now seems like the perfect time to fulfill that promise." Yi Bai nodded. "Since you are personally facilitating this, I have no objections." Upon receiving his agreement, Xiao Yunshan promptly called Xiao Rian. On the other end, Xiao Rian expressed her delight upon hearing Yi Bai had finally agreed to assist with the car modifications. She immediately invited him to dinner to discuss the details in person. They decided to meet at a cafe restaurant named Wild and Dream. Yi Bai paused at the name, puzzled. Is this a cafe or a restaurant? What exactly is it? Meanwhile, Xiao Yunshan was beside himself with excitement. He snatched the phone, eagerly asking, "Principal Xiao, when shall we meet?" Xiao Rian chuckled softly, suggesting, "Why wait for another day? How about right now?" "Absolutely," Xiao Yunshan responded without hesitation, afraid she might change her mind. After hanging up, he eagerly pulled Yi Bai along, ready to set off as if fearing the loss of a fortune by delaying even a moment. Yi Bai, observing his uncle's exuberance, inquired, "Uncle, aren't we just going for a meal? Why so excited? One might think you're off to get married." Turning to him, Xiao Yunshan said gravely, "Nephew, you are now an adult and no longer a child. It's time you understood certain matters. Do you know what a themed dining restaurant is?" Seeing Yi Bai's bewildered expression, Xiao Yunshan sighed and explained more directly, "Let me put it this way. You know your aunt passed away early, leaving just me and Miao Miao to rely on each other all these years. Every household needs a mother for the child, don't you think? I can't be alone forever." Yi Bai gasped in realization. It dawned on him that his seemingly successful uncle was not merely seeking a meal, but was indeed on a quest to find a partner for himself and a stepmother for Miao Miao. Though he felt it inappropriate to meddle in his uncle's personal affairs, he silently prayed for him and followed him into the car. In a bid to impress his date, Xiao Yunshan drove out his beloved Rolls-Royce Phantom, which he usually treated with utmost care. Then, with Yi Bai in tow, he sped towards the Wild and Dream Cafe restaurant. Upon their arrival, they spotted a tall and graceful beauty standing at the artistically designed entrance, none other than Xiao Rian herself. However, on this day, she was not adorned in her usual professional attire, but instead donned an outfit that accentuated her mature and voluptuous figure to perfection. Upon seeing her, Xiao Yunshan felt his heart race and was compelled to exit the vehicle immediately. Yet, before he could make a move, Yi Bai, seated in the back, calmly opened the car door and stepped out. The moment Xiao Rian laid her eyes on Yi Bai, her previously icy demeanor transformed into a radiant smile, as if winter had melted into spring. With graceful strides, she approached him and under Xiao Yunshan's almost fiery gaze. She opened her arms and embraced Yi Bai warmly and intimately. Xiao Yunshan, who had just exited the car, was left momentarily stunned. His arms, which had been poised to welcome the embrace, now hung awkwardly in midair. "Hello, Director Qiao." He managed to force a smile that was more painful than jovial. However, Xiao Rian merely offered him a token smile, denying him any opportunity for physical contact. The expression on Xiao Yunshan's face was one of palpable disappointment. Yi Bai, witnessing his uncle's discomfort akin to having swallowed a fly, could not suppress his amusement. He broke the awkward silence, suggesting, "Director Qiao, shall we proceed inside to discuss matters?" "Of course, little Yi," Xiao Rian replied in a voice so enchanting it could make one's bones melt. Hearing her affectionately address Yi Bai as little Yi only deepened Xiao Yunshan's unease. As the trio entered the dining establishment, they chose a cozy booth intended for four. Xiao Yunshan and Yi Bai naturally seated themselves on one side, while Xiao Rian opted to sit across from them. As soon as they settled in, Xiao Yunshan eagerly rose, exclaiming, "Please, make yourselves comfortable while I prepare the condiments. My special blend will surely delight." With that, he enthusiastically rushed to the condiment station. However, when he returned, carrying 2 bowls of meticulously prepared sauces, he was taken aback to find that Xiao Rian had taken his original seat and was now sitting intimately close to Yi Bai. The corners of Xiao Yunshan's eyes burned with jealousy. Suppressing his bitterness, he offered 1 bowl of sauce to Xiao Rian with a smile. "Director Qiao, this is specially made for you. I know you enjoy spicy food, so I added extra chili." Yet, she merely glanced at it before apologizing lightly. "I'm afraid I can't indulge today, Director Xiao. I'm not feeling well, and the doctor advised against spicy foods." Xiao Yunshan was left speechless. The moment to order arrived, and Xiao Rian picked up the menu, requesting several dishes: chaozhou beef balls, secret beef tendons, charcoal grilled beef kidneys, and thick-cut beef belly. Xiao Yunshan could not help but furrow his brow. "Director Qiao, why would a woman like you order such dishes?" With a flirtatious glance, Xiao Rian turned her attention to Yi Bai, her eyes filled with concern as she softly said, "Little Yi will soon help me modify my car. It's quite a physical task, and I want to ensure he has the best sustenance." Upon hearing the names of the dishes, Yi Bai's complexion paled, realizing that consuming all of them would likely rob him of sleep that night. At that moment, a waiter approached politely, inquiring, "Would you like some chilled beverages?" "No, thank you," Xiao Yunshan interjected. "Director Qiao has a relative visiting and cannot drink anything cold." Yet, Xiao Rian chuckled softly. "Director Xiao, you're so considerate. However, my relative has just left, so I can indulge a little." Xiao Yunshan's spirits soared at this revelation. Xiao Rian continued, "Since we're here, shouldn't we enjoy some of the local specialty, Daughter's Red?" "Daughter's Red?" Xiao Yunshan was astonished. "Director Qiao, aren't you sensitive to alcohol?" "Oh, come now." She pouted playfully. "Today is a celebration for little Yi finally agreeing to help me with my car. Such a joyous occasion deserves a toast." Xiao Yunshan was overjoyed and promptly ordered the finest Daughter's Red. They began to clink glasses and drink merrily. However, as they continued, Yi Bai noticed something amiss. Xiao Rian's complexion grew increasingly radiant with each sip, her eyes sparkling with clarity, while Xiao Yunshan had turned a deep shade of red, barely able to articulate his words. Ultimately, with a loud belch, he collapsed onto the table, fast asleep. Yi Bai stared at the scene, bewildered. With his uncle passed out, and Xiao Rian now slightly tipsy and flirtatious, his alarm bells rang. Realizing the situation was veering dangerously into ambiguity, he cleared his throat and redirected the conversation. "Director Qiao, regarding the modifications for your GTR, what specific requests do you have?" Xiao Rian slowly turned her gaze towards him. Her eyes, already lustrous, now glimmered with an intoxicating allure. She leaned in closer, their proximity allowing Yi Bai to catch the heady mix of her perfume and the scent of alcohol. Her lips parted slightly, and in a voice laden with suggestion, she whispered, "My requests are rather simple. Firstly, I prefer a more vigorous vibration. However, the vehicle must maintain excellent soundproofing, as I detest being overheard from the outside. Furthermore, the car's ceiling must be high enough to avoid any unfortunate bumps during moments of excitement. Oh, and most importantly, it must have anti-peeping features. I wouldn't want anyone witnessing my intimate moments with the vehicle." Hearing these increasingly outrageous demands, Yi Bai inhaled sharply, realizing that her specifications sounded far less like automotive adjustments and more akin to something entirely different. His scalp tingled with unease. Chuckling nervously, he said, "Director Qiao, you have quite the sense of humor." "I am not joking." Xiao Rian's gaze deepened with longing. "You're intoxicated," Yi Bai stammered. "I am not," she declared. Unable to suppress her desires any longer, and with a soft sigh, she threw herself into Yi Bai's arms, the sensation of her warmth and softness enveloping him entirely. Feeling the astonishing softness and intoxicating fragrance in his arms, Yi Bai found his mind blissfully blank. This sensation was challenging to articulate, requiring a full 5,000 words for a proper description. However, due to unavoidable constraints, he must omit those 5,000 words. Trusting that anyone with a modicum of common sense would grasp the essence, Yi Bai had no desire to elaborate further. In summary, Xiao Rian was enamored, while Yi Bai remained innocent yet utterly exhilarated. How exhilarating was it? Perhaps it was exhilarating in a way that words could scarcely convey. Chapter 151. The modifications are too expensive. Xiao Rian asks if I can compensate. Just as the atmosphere reached an exquisite peak of intimacy, a waitress arrived, carrying a platter of fruit. Upon witnessing the tantalizing scene before her, she displayed no surprise. Instead, her expression conveyed an understanding that Yi Bai could discern. With a thoughtful gesture, she drew the curtains of the booth. Then, she produced a box from her pocket and handed it to Yi Bai. Instinctively, he accepted it, curious as to why a waitress would present him with a box of napkins. However, upon closer inspection, he realized it was not napkins at all, but rather a box of Dudaci. In that instant, Yi Bai's mind buzzed with realization. He finally comprehended the concept of a themed restaurant. This place, it turned out, was akin to a dining establishment designed for more intimate encounters. His entire being felt stunned. The young waitress, noticing his dumbfounded expression, mistook his astonishment for naivety. Blushing, she softly reassured him, "Sir, everyone has their first time. If you feel uncomfortable, I assure you, this is my first time as well." At her words, Yi Bai lifted his gaze to examine the waitress more closely. She appeared to be in her early 20s, youthful and beautiful, with an air of innocence about her. Clad in a provocative maid outfit, her legs, adorned in white stockings, were tightly pressed together, exuding a nervous yet eager demeanor. It was undeniably enticing, igniting a sense of temptation. Nevertheless, Yi Bai felt a surge of caution and resistance towards this unexpected allure. Ultimately, he chose to abstain, recognizing the necessity of prudence in the current societal climate. He resolutely declined. Thus, it was not until Xiao Rian awoke from her intoxicated slumber that she realized she had remained in the same position since losing consciousness. Her jaw was nearly dislocated from the awkward angle. She abruptly turned her head to find Yi Bai calmly seated beside her, engrossed in a mobile game. As if nothing had transpired moments before, Xiao Rian's face flushed crimson, a wave of embarrassment washing over her, wishing she could vanish into the earth. In a panic, she attempted to rise and flee. "Wait," Yi Bai called out, gesturing towards his trousers. "Aren't you going to help me wipe this? I've drooled all over myself." Xiao Rian, mortified, covered her face with her hands, her voice quivering. "I'll help you wash it." "No need," Yi Bai replied nonchalantly. In an instant, her expression darkened, and she retook her seat, this time deliberately positioning herself at the far edge of the booth, distancing herself from Yi Bai. Frustrated, she exclaimed, "If you dislike that I have a husband or that I am older than you, just say it. I, Xiao Rian, am not one to cling desperately or seek humiliation." Yi Bai was taken aback by her words. "That is not what I meant." "Then what do you mean?" Xiao Rian's emotions began to rise, and after a moment, she continued, "You can pursue your playboy lifestyle and seek out those young, beautiful girls. My life is already ruined. I simply don't want to grow old and die alone, without a single family member by my side. Is it wrong to desire someone with whom I can share a deep connection or a blood relation?" "What about your family?" Yi Bai inquired, curiosity piqued. At the mention of family, Xiao Rian's eyes dimmed, and she offered a self-deprecating smile. "I have no family. I am an orphan. My current husband accepted me despite my background and chose to marry me. I reluctantly complied, though I never wished to be intimate with him. Strangely, he has never shown any desire for intimacy in all these years, leading me to wonder if he is incapable. It wasn't until I encountered his ex-girlfriend in a food stall and was publicly humiliated that I discovered the truth." Upon hearing her story, Yi Bai exclaimed, "What a situation. Director Xiao, to be honest, I'm still young and have never even experienced a proper relationship. Your suggestions are rather overwhelming for me," he confessed, his face reddening. Xiao Rian merely acknowledged this with a soft "oh," falling silent, but gazing at him with an expression filled with longing. Feeling uneasy under her stare, Yi Bai cautiously asked, "So, would you be able to accept that?" Xiao Rian remained silent, instead pulling out her phone and stating, "I have an older sister. She is 40 this year, the one who runs a car dealership. She has a daughter who just turned 18, inheriting her mother's beauty and figure perfectly." Yi Bai felt his mind whirl at her words. Was she truly introducing him to someone? How much desire must one possess to take such a step? However, he quickly realized this could indeed be a connection worth exploring. Soon, Xiao Rian sent him the girl's WeChat contact. Upon opening it, he discovered the nickname was simply Su Qinghua. Browsing through her moments revealed a collection of stunning photographs showcasing a girl who, while pure, possessed an alluring charm. Her features were exquisitely delicate, reminiscent of a painting. In terms of looks, she could easily rival any popular star. Her profile read, Beijing Foreign Studies University, incoming freshman. Despite the allure, Yi Bai refrained from adding her immediately, sensing it would appear too intentional. Putting his phone away, he addressed Xiao Rian, Director Xiao. Please send the car to my Yunxiao Auto Repair Shop. I'll pick it up in 3 days. Certainly. She responded eagerly. Money is not an issue. After a moment's thought, he added, but if the modifications cost 4 to 5 million? Upon hearing this, Xiao Rian's previously pale face flushed a deep red. Biting her lip and lowering her head, her voice barely above a whisper, could we perhaps settle the debt in another way? Another way? Yi Bai was taken aback. Chapter 152, Spending 30 million. The birth of the first D car. Coughing, Yi Bai nearly choked on Xiao Rian's audacious words. How could she articulate it so boldly? He had just turned 18. Would she truly be so ruthless with such matters? Did her conscience not ache? Yi Bai promptly waved his hand and declared with righteous fervor. Director Xiao, you jest. Out of respect for my uncle, I shall offer you a 50% discount. The payment must still be made. Upon hearing this, the spark of hope that had ignited in Xiao Rian's eyes instantly dimmed, revealing a flicker of disappointment that was hard to conceal. The young man was clearly not attuned to the nuances of the situation and would have to devise another plan later. However, Xiao Rian, feeling a sense of disdain towards others, merely replied with a soft hum, her tone reverting to its previous chilliness. Very well, I shall make the payment on time. Subsequently, she retrieved a car key from her bag and handed it to Yi Bai, leading him to the underground parking lot to fetch the car. Upon seeing the GTR, Yi Bai noted that while the paint gleamed as if brand new, it was evident that the vehicle had undergone a mere refurbishment. A thorough system scan confirmed his suspicions, scanning the vehicle. Model, Nissan GTR God of War, condition, numerous refurbishments, non-original parts. However, the overall condition is satisfactory with no major safety hazards. Scan results, modifiable and upgradable, with no significant issues detected. Yi Bai summoned a towing service to transport the vehicle back to the Yunxiao Auto Repair Shop. Once at the shop, he meticulously examined the GTR once more. The GTR holds a near-divine status in the hearts of countless car enthusiasts. Although not a supercar in the strictest sense, it boasts terrifying performance capable of intimidating even the most elite supercars, earning it the reverent title of Supercar Killer. The model before him was the most classic and legendary iteration of the GTR family. Regrettably, this once mighty warrior was now a gem dulled by dust. The vehicle had suffered significant damage from an accident, and although it had been repaired, it had lost much of its former glory. Fortunately, it now belonged to him. And Yi Bai was resolutely confident in his ability to restore this tarnished hero to a brilliance surpassing its former glory. He then opened the modification module in the system to explore specific upgrade options. Available modification plans: anti-gravity wheel-based air cushion chassis, hub-integrated superconducting quantum levitation module, maintaining a superconducting state through liquid nitrogen cooling, allowing the vehicle to hover 0.5 meters off the ground. During motion, it releases a vacuum-ion gas curtain to eliminate air resistance and provide sound insulation, achieving silent levitation. Price: 8 million shock points. Self-adaptive molecular material armor. The vehicle body is coated with nano-memory alloy scales that harden upon impact, remaining soft as silk under normal conditions to reduce wind noise. The surface coating contains electrochromic quantum dots, which refract light to achieve optical invisibility when electrified. Price: 14 million shock points. Multi-phase propulsion engine, equipped with 4-dimensional jet propulsion units, releasing superfluid helium-3 heat during wheel rotation, which instantaneously vaporizes upon contact with water, generating wave-free thrust. Additionally, a vacuum zero-point energy compensator draws energy from the quantum vacuum, Casimir effect, to power the levitation system with infinite endurance. Price: 8 million shock points. These modification plans were indeed a significant leap from previous options, involving technologies such as superconducting levitation, which leverages the quantum Meissner effect, with real-world prototypes already in existence. Implementing such advanced technology on a GTR would be remarkable. However, the shock point requirements were exceedingly high. As Yibai reviewed Xiao Rian's unique and precise requirements, powerful vibrations, silent operation, ample headroom, and exceptional anti-peeping capabilities, he first recalled the anti-gravity module he had previously used. This module could indeed provide absolute silence and concealment, but lacked the intense vibration frequency she desired, feeling more like a smooth ride on a high-speed train. He then considered the jet propulsion module, which could deliver astonishing acceleration and a thrilling pushback sensation, but its deafening roar contradicted the need for silence. Pressing the accelerator would likely make it audible for miles around. After much contemplation, Yibai ultimately resolved to devise an entirely new modification plan, tailor-made for this GTR and for Xiao Rian, the GTR Flying Fish Modification Plan. The essence of the Flying Fish Plan was to transform this terrestrial warrior into a vessel capable of high speed, silent, and smooth gliding like a personal luxury speedboat. To commence, the vehicle's body materials would be entirely replaced with aerospace-grade carbon fiber composite materials. This would significantly reduce the overall weight while providing greater strength and resilience than steel. The next and most crucial step involved re-engineering the chassis. Yibai would completely dismantle the original automobile chassis and design a streamlined, deformable structure akin to a ship's hull. At the rear, he would integrate a high-powered turbojet engine, which would generate substantial thrust by rapidly expelling high-pressure airflow, propelling the vehicle across the water surface. To address the noise issue, Yibai meticulously equipped this turbojet engine with multiple layers of sound-absorbing materials, aiming to minimize the roar to the greatest extent possible. Simultaneously, to ensure stability, he added a flexible inflatable air cushion around the chassis' edge. A high-pressure blower would continuously supply air to the cushion, creating a thick air film between the vehicle and the water surface, allowing it to hover between 0.5 to 1 meter above the water, effectively eliminating any jarring sensation caused by direct contact with the water. Finally, to manage the complex fluctuations of the water surface, Yibai upgraded the vehicle's suspension system to the most advanced magnetorheological adaptive suspension. This system could use high-precision sensors to detect water surface disturbances in real time and dynamically adjust the pressure within the air cushion, ensuring the vehicle remains perfectly level at all times. In the system's first-phase laboratory, Yibai conducted numerous simulation experiments on the Flying Fish plan. Ultimately, as the modification progress reached 98, the upgrade to the second-phase laboratory was tantalizingly close. While awaiting the system upgrade, Yibai glanced at the list of independently developed technologies. Following the firefighting machine gun and rocket-propelled extinguisher, a brand new research project appeared, the anti-aircraft firefighting cannon. To develop it, only 1 million shock points were required. Yibai was elated. There was no room for hesitation. This must be researched. It would be foolish to pass up such an opportunity. After reviewing the project for the anti-aircraft firefighting cannon, Yibai dedicated all his energy to the GTR modifications. Once he thoroughly grasped all the technical details of the Flying Fish plan, he immediately began ordering the necessary equipment and components. Days later, countless packages arrived at the Yunxiao Auto Repair Shop. Yibai closed the shop's doors and began the formal modification and upgrade process. He first dismantled the original car shell and chassis of the GTR, replacing them with the custom-designed carbon fiber body, adorned with captivating patterns. Next, he precisely installed the specially modified turbojet engine and the intricate magnetorheological adaptive suspension onto the new boat-like chassis. Every step of wiring, welding, and debugging was executed flawlessly. After an exhaustive 3-day and night endeavor, this extraordinary GTR Flying Fish, a marvel of technological innovation, was finally completed. Chapter 153, Submission Successful. Reward, Level 5 Mechanic Experience. The modifications and upgrades have been completed. At this moment, Yibai decisively chose to submit the vehicle. As expected, the system's notification sound arrived promptly. Ding. Detection of D-Class Modified Vehicle GTR Flying Fish. Determination successful. Congratulations, host, you have gained 1 attribute point. Without hesitation, Yibai allocated this precious attribute point to his physique. Instantly, his physique increased from 68 to 69. A warm current surged throughout his limbs, instantly sweeping away the fatigue accumulated from 3 days and nights of continuous modifications. He felt rejuvenated and invigorated, embodying a refreshing vitality. One could only marvel at the excellence of the system's offerings. At that moment, the system's notification chimed joyfully in his ears. Ding. Congratulations, host, you have achieved the system accomplishment of the first D-Class vehicle. Reward, 1 chance for a grand prize lottery. Another grand prize lottery? Without a moment's hesitation, Yibai decided to use it immediately. In his mind, A colossal wheel appeared, spinning wildly. After completing 81 revolutions, the pointer landed. Ding! Congratulations on acquiring the master-level skill of Level 5 Machinist. What thrilled Yi-Bai even more was the Level 5 Machinist skill. As one of the most fundamental and crucial professions in modern industry, machinist skills are categorized from low to high across 8 levels. Achieving Level 5 signifies a status of advanced technician. Those who reach this level are invariably seasoned masters, having toiled for decades in factories. They possess the ability to refine a metal component to micron-level precision using only their hands and a file. As Yi-Bai marveled at the power of this skill, a torrent of vast information surged into his mind like a tidal wave. Countless knowledge, techniques, and experiences related to machining crystallized into a seemingly innate muscle memory. Deeply etched within his being, Yi-Bai felt as if he had attained the prowess of a Level 5 machinist, having immersed himself in this craft for decades. In fact, even if a Level 5 machinist stood before him, it was likely that they would not match his skill. After all, the system is comprehensive. However, in terms of machinist assessments, no matter how extensive the examination, it could never encompass everything. In a fantastical sense, Yi-Bai now stood invincible at the same level in machining. From now on, engaging in modifications or manually crafting high-precision components would become increasingly effortless and swift. After digesting this information, Yi-Bai opened the system panel to check his balance of shock value. Although he had mentally prepared himself, he couldn't help but gasp at the sight of the completely depleted number. The D-Class GTR Flying Fish had consumed over 33 million shock values. It was indeed a staggering expenditure. Previously, he had modified several vehicles, yet none had been as outrageous as these 2 GTRs. It was simply astonishing. Moreover, he had also spent over 4 million in cash. This exceeded his previous estimates by more than 1 million. Truly, it was an exorbitant sum. Yi-Bai couldn't help but feel a sense of reflection. It seemed imperative to possess a factory entirely of his own. Otherwise, as he delved deeper into modifications, the complexity of the vehicles and the required parts would only escalate, leading to soaring costs. Some intricate components might even be beyond the capabilities of external processing factories. Just then, his phone suddenly rang. It was Huang Bo from the Tianjin Fire Department. Upon answering, Huang Bo's anxious voice came through. Brother Yi, bad news. A company called Lin's Real Estate Group has suddenly emerged, aiming to compete for the land we have our eyes on in the capital. And they opened with a direct offer of 1.8 billion. Yi-Bai was momentarily speechless. A major corporation competing for their plot? Were they out of their minds? That land was merely over 300 square meters, located on the outskirts of the Third Ring Road, devoid of any commercial value. Huang Bo was equally frustrated. Who wouldn't be? We've already sent people over to negotiate with them. But regardless, we must secure the funds. I understand, Yi-Bai replied solemnly. I will transfer the money as soon as possible. After hanging up, Yi-Bai immediately assessed his available cash. Including all his previous earnings and the recent advance payments from the sale of 200,000 fire safety products, he barely totaled over 40 million. This amount, although astronomical for an ordinary person, fell far short of the colossal target of 1.8 billion. It appeared he needed to expedite another sale of fire safety products. He must find a way to push the newly developed high-pressure fire cannon effectively. Just as Yi-Bai was mulling over his financial predicament, there was a knock at the door of the repair shop. Upon opening it, he found Xiao Ryuan standing outside with 2 companions. One of them was a sophisticated woman dressed in a custom-made dark red qipao, impeccably maintained, exuding elegance and allure. The qipao had a high slit, revealing her smooth, fair thighs. Her delicate makeup accentuated a regal air that spoke of her long-standing status. Beside her stood a young girl clad in a trendy, revealing outfit. The girl wore a tight white crop top and ultra-short denim shorts that showcased her long, slender legs perfectly. This girl was none other than Su Qinghua, the one Xiao Ryuan had previously recommended to him via WeChat. The two stood together, one exuding mature charm and the other youthful vibrance. Uninformed observers might easily mistake them for sisters. Is this the place where that remarkable car modification master works? The woman in the qipao looked at the somewhat disheveled environment of the repair shop, her brows knitting in disapproval. Why is it so dirty and chaotic? With a smile, Xiao Rian explained, Sister Lin, you must understand that a true master pursues the richness of the spiritual world, often neglecting the superficial material environment. The woman, referred to as Sister Lin, chuckled in response. No wonder a PhD from a prestigious university speaks with such cultured eloquence. She then turned her gaze toward Yi-Bai, scrutinizing him from head to toe. You do seem to possess a certain nobility. However, there is also an undeniable air of recklessness. Can you really modify cars? Hearing her words, Yi Bai merely smiled in silence. He did not engage in argument, but instead turned and walked deeper into the repair shop. The woman and Xiao Ryuan promptly followed suit, both eager to discover what surprises this young man might unveil. Chapter 154. You modifying a GTR? Truly a land-based comet. As the three followed Yi Bai inside, he did not rush to introduce any vehicles. Instead, he led them to a workbench. He picked up a diamond-shaped metal block and a metal plate with a matching groove, saying, "These are two small items I just casually crafted." He handed the metal block to the woman, inviting her to see if it would fit into the groove. Upon receiving the metal block, the woman attempted to place it into the groove and found that while the dimensions seemed just right, considerable force was required to fit it snugly. Curious, Xiao Rian also attempted it, finding it necessary to exert considerable force. Beside her, Su Qingwei observed and couldn't resist trying herself, also straining to fully fit the piece in place. It seemed the dimensions were slightly off. Yi Bai smiled faintly. Subsequently, under the intrigued gazes of the three, he picked up a multi-purpose file from the workbench. Throughout the process, he abstained from using any measuring tools, relying solely on his keen eyesight to meticulously polish the contact surface of the metal block, employing a cross-filing technique. After half an hour, Yi Bai ceased his efforts. He handed the polished metal block back to the trio. "Give it another try." Su Qingwei was the first to take it, carefully aligning the metal block with the groove before gently placing it down. An astonishing spectacle unfolded. Without needing any force at all, the metal block slid into the groove as if it had been lubricated, silently and smoothly. The noblewoman and Xiao Rian followed suit, with identical results. "How is this possible?" the noblewoman exclaimed. Meanwhile, Su Qingyue's face displayed sheer astonishment. She hurried to the workbench, grasping a gauge merely 0.02 millimeters thick, attempting to insert it between the metal block and the metal plate. To her bewilderment, no matter the angle she approached from, the gossamer gauge could not fit. "My goodness." Su Qingyue's gaze towards Yi Bai transformed completely. This is craftsmanship of a competitive caliber. Achieving such precision requires at least the skill of a fifth-level machinist. Fifth-level machinist. The noblewoman was equally astounded by this term. She could hardly fathom that this young man, who appeared somewhat brash, was indeed a master. Xiao Rian was equally taken aback. She knew Yi Bai was formidable, but never anticipated he possessed such astonishing abilities. Turning to the noblewoman, she remarked, "Sister Lin, now that you're riding in the vehicle he modified, you must feel a sense of security, right?" The noblewoman realized she had entirely misjudged Yi Bai. However, being a person of grace and composure, she promptly adjusted her stance. "Little Yi, your true prowess is indeed profound and remarkable. I must admit, I underestimated you. If your vehicle can truly satisfy my dear friend, I shall cover the modification costs for her. Additionally, I will personally gift you a limited edition supercar from my collection. One that has long been out of circulation. A limited edition supercar." Yi Bai's eyes sparkled instantly, for words could not compare to witnessing the reality. Yi Bai smiled slightly and led the three to the GTR, pressing the unlock button on the car key. With a soft hum, the GTR's headlights illuminated. Waves of blue light, akin to breathing, cascaded from the front to the rear of the vehicle. Following that, the specially designed taillights erupted in a dazzling display, instantly illuminating the entire car body. It even left a long, comet-like white trail of light behind. In the dim workshop, the GTR resembled a terrestrial comet poised to streak across the night sky. "My goodness, is this really a GTR?" Xiao Rian and the noblewoman were utterly captivated by the sci-fi and visual spectacle before them. However, after the initial shock, Xiao Rian furrowed her brow. "Little Yi, with this car so bright, will there truly be any privacy while driving on the road?" Yi Bai chuckled, explaining, "Director Xiao, rest assured. For anyone to spy, they must first see what lies within the glass. Once the lights are on, it's nothing but light pollution outside. At most, they would only see a blur. Of course, you can also choose not to use the light effects." Upon hearing this, Xiao Rian finally relaxed. Meanwhile, Su Qingwei circled the car, then curiously pointed at the underside, asking, "Why does the car's chassis resemble that of a boat? Your design truly aligns with the comet theme." Yi Bai looked at her with a mysterious smile, saying, "This vehicle can genuinely operate on water." "What? It can operate on water? Are you joking?" The three women were flabbergasted. What vehicle could traverse water? Wouldn't that render all shipyards obsolete? Observing their dubious expressions, Yi Bai chose not to elaborate further, opting instead to drive the GTR to a nearby stream. The river was particularly turbulent today, a result of recent heavy rains. As Yi Bai prepared to drive into the water, Xiao Rian's face immediately reflected concern. "Yi Bai, this is too dangerous." I will pay you in full for the car. Can't you avoid taking this risk? The noblewoman snorted dismissively, suspecting Yi Bai was merely seeking an excuse, thinking he intended to let the car take on water. Should the vehicle encounter issues, he could easily blame it on water damage rather than inadequate modifications. Yi Bai, hearing their concerns, simply smiled. He turned to the trio and asked, "Who among you dares to ride with me and create some waves on the water?" A flicker of excitement gleamed in Su Qingyue's eyes, eager to speak, but was firmly restrained by the noblewoman. "Qingyue, no foolishness. We cannot gamble with our lives." At that moment, Xiao Rian took a deep breath and declared, "I am the owner of the car. Regardless, I must personally give this a try." Resolutely, she opened the car door and took her seat beside Yi Bai. Yi Bai gazed at her determined expression, surprised by her unwavering faith in him. Chapter 155. The car floats across the river, sci-fi becomes reality. Following that, Yi Bai and Xiao Rian entered the vehicle. Xiao Rian's hands trembled slightly as she fastened her seatbelt, her heart racing with a blend of fear and inexplicable excitement. On the bank, Sister Lin's expression was grave. She tightly grasped her daughter Su Qingyue's arm, her voice tinged with unease. "Qingyue, do you think we are being too impulsive? What if something goes wrong?" Su Qingyue's gaze remained fixed on the GTR parked by the riverbank, her brows furrowed. "Mom, I've already summoned Uncle Wang." Just as she finished speaking, a robust man with dark skin and prominent temples strode up to the mother and daughter, speaking in a deep voice. "Director Lin, Miss, I am prepared." This man was a bodyguard of the Lin family, a retired national swimming team athlete with exceptional swimming skills. He had changed into a fitted swimsuit, holding a large life buoy and equipped with a specialized rescue hammer, ready to dive in at a moment's notice. Seeing the professional on standby, Sister Lin's anxiety eased slightly. Yet her eyes remained filled with concern as she looked at the GTR. This was not merely a test drive. It was a reckless gamble. Inside the vehicle, Yi Bai paid no mind to the tension on the bank, skillfully operating controls on the central console before positioning his phone on the designated livestream mount and smoothly starting the broadcast. "Good afternoon, dear viewers." As soon as the live stream began, hundreds of thousands of eager spectators flooded in. Upon recognizing the scene in the stream, the comments section erupted. Before the vehicle lies a vast river, its waters rushing with great ferocity. Observing the situation, one might wonder if the driver is contemplating a reckless attempt to traverse the river in his car. "Stop joking," another warns. "This river is over 100 meters wide. And with such turbulent waters, the GTR is no boat. It would sink immediately. Calm down. If you're feeling overwhelmed, talk to us. Please don't do anything foolish." As the barrage of comments rolled in, Yi Bai's lips curled into a subtle smile. He then turned the camera towards the slightly anxious, yet stunning Xiao Rian beside him and continued, "Brothers, stop your wild guesses. Today, I am not here for anything mundane. Instead, I shall showcase a unique skill. Witness how my newly modified GTR will navigate across the river." With this declaration, the entire live stream fell into an eerie silence, only to be broken after a long pause. "What on earth? Cross the river? Am I hearing correctly? A car crossing the river? Have you lost your mind? This is a GTR, not an airboat. Do you think physics doesn't apply? There must be limits to boasting. If you can make that car cross without sinking, I'll gladly shower you with gifts." Exactly. Not to mention, once the wheels touch the water, won't the engine just fail immediately? In the face of overwhelming skepticism, Yi Bai merely smiled nonchalantly, relishing the reaction. Words alone are meaningless without action. Having set the challenge, he provocatively added, "If this car truly makes it across unscathed, shouldn't the rewards from you all follow suit? Enough with the nonsense. If you can actually drive that GTR over, I won't just give you one gift. I'll send you 100. This comment detonated like a bomb, igniting excitement in the entire live stream. 100 gifts. That amounted to a staggering sum of 3 million. Wow. Principal Wang is generous. Now this is going to be entertaining. Let us see if he can truly deliver. Hurry up. I can't wait to see him get knocked down, or rather, witness a miracle." Yi Bai nodded with satisfaction at the comment. "All right, I'm waiting for that." He wasted no more words, placing his right hand on the ignition button and pressed it gently. With a thunderous roar, the engine erupted into life. Nearby, a few fishermen, leisurely casting their lines, were startled by the sudden noise, nearly dropping their rods into the river. They turned to see the GTR poised at the water's edge. Curiosity etched on their faces. What was this young man with such a fine car doing here? No, surely he wasn't planning to drive into the water? This absurd speculation drew incredulous looks from the fishermen, yet their eyes were irresistibly drawn to the GTR, even neglecting the movement of their bobbers. Under the gaze of the crowd, Yi Bai shifted into gear and gently pressed the accelerator. The GTR's wheels began to turn, and without hesitation, it surged straight towards the tumultuous river. Oh my, he really is going in. Insanity. This man is undoubtedly mad. The fishermen erupted in disbelief, mouths agape, forgetting their rods. Their expressions a mix of astonishment and fear. In the live stream, thousands of viewers held their breath, the comments momentarily ceasing as all eyes fixated on the screen. Hearts racing in anticipation. On the shore, Lin Jie clamped her mouth shut, barely stifling a scream. Next to her, Su Qingyue's face drained of color, her eyes wide with shock. In the passenger seat, Xiao Rian was equally terrified, her face paling, instinctively shutting her eyes and gripping the seatbelt tightly, her mind blank. Yet, the anticipated jolt and sensation of sinking did not arrive. Instead, there was a peculiar, gentle buoyancy, as if a small vessel were gliding upon the waves. Cautiously, Xiao Rian opened her eyes and was met with an unforgettable sight. As the GTR's front end touched the water, it did not plunge as expected. Instead, it seemed to be lifted by an invisible force, floating gracefully atop the surface. My heavens! Xiao Rian gasped, her lips parted in astonishment. In that moment, not only she, but also the fishermen on the banks, the viewers in the live stream, and Lin Jie with her daughter were all rendered speechless. Everyone appeared frozen in place, their minds blank, captivated by this surreal spectacle that defied the laws of physics. What the hell? What am I witnessing? It's floating. It's really floating. The car is actually skimming across the water. Newton's principles have been upended. Someone explain the science behind this. A miracle. This is undoubtedly a miracle. The streamer is not human. He is a deity. Initially, the onlookers, including the million viewers in the live stream, assumed it was merely a coincidence. Perhaps the angle of the car combined with the current had granted it a temporary buoyancy. Surely, it would soon succumb to gravity and sink. However, the next moment shattered this notion completely. Yi Bai expertly maneuvered the steering wheel, the accelerator steadily pushing forward. The GTR's rear, equipped with a specially modified turbojet engine, unleashed a powerful thrust, sending strong currents of air cascading across the water's surface, leaving behind two distinct white trails. The vehicle surged forward, slicing through the waves with the grace of an arrow, racing towards the far bank of the river. There were no signs of sinking. The speed increased, the car leaving a long wake behind. Onlookers' gazes remained riveted on the GTR, which transformed from a clearly visible silhouette into a mere blur, eventually almost vanishing from sight. Yet, even that tiny, nearly invisible point remained buoyant on the water's surface. Inside the car, Xiao Rian had completely lost her composure. Initially, with her eyes shut, she felt a series of strong vibrations emanating from beneath her seat. This sensation made her feel weak and dizzy, evoking an inexplicable thrill. However, as the vibrations continued, steady and powerful, there were no signs of losing control. Unable to resist, she slowly opened her eyes. Before her lay the rapidly receding landscape of the riverbank, the white waves parting as the car sliced through them. They were truly gliding across the water. Oh my! Yi Bai, how on earth are you doing this? Xiao Rian's voice trembled, her gaze locking onto Yi Bai, filled with a mix of awe and fear. This man was frighteningly powerful. Meanwhile, downstream, a luxurious private yacht cruised leisurely. On the deck, a little girl with pigtails, around 5 or 6 years old, leaned over the railing, excitedly pointing at the rapidly moving blue on the water's surface. Mom, look, a car floating on water. I want to do that too. As the mother approached in response to the sound, she affectionately ruffled her daughter's hair and smiled, saying, "Sweetheart, don't be silly. A vehicle as heavy as that could never float on water. It must be a speedboat. No, it's just a car." The little girl stomped her feet in frustration, pointing towards the horizon, desperately trying to help her mother see clearly. It's a car. It's speeding on the water. The young mother squinted in the direction her daughter was indicating, initially thinking it was merely an oddly shaped speedboat. However, as the distance closed, the outline of the blue object became increasingly distinct. The elegant lines of the car's body and the iconic 4 round taillights unmistakably revealed it to be an automobile. The smile on the young mother's face froze in disbelief. She rubbed her eyes vigorously and looked again. Indeed, it was a real blue sports car, gliding across the expansive river in an astonishing manner. She was utterly dumbfounded, her mouth slightly agape, her mind blank. Mom, look, I'm not lying. It's really a car floating on water. Upstream, a cargo ship laden with coal was drifting downstream. Inside the captain's cabin, an old captain, with a cigarette dangling from his mouth, idly steered the ship. Having navigated this river for decades, he was intimately familiar with every blade of grass and tree. Suddenly, From the corner of his eye, he caught sight of an object racing towards him at an astonishing speed. What on earth is that? A speedboat? He mumbled, exhaling a puff of smoke. But as the blue object drew nearer, his eyes widened in disbelief, the cigarette but falling from his mouth with a soft thud. That was unmistakably a sports car. A sports car slicing through the waves on the water at an outrageous speed. Goodness! The old captain exclaimed, rubbing his eyes vigorously, nearly convinced he was still under the influence of last night's drinks, hallucinating. Yet he quickly shook his head. Seasoned sailors understood one rule: drink when not at the helm, and don't drink when steering. He had not touched a drop today, fully sober. This meant that the GTR racing across the water was, astonishingly, indeed real. The captain felt as if his worldview, built over decades, had been completely shattered. He stood there, watching the GTR roar past his cargo ship. The river was wide, spanning hundreds of meters. Even the fastest speedboat would take time to cross. However, under the terrifying performance of the GTR, in just a few minutes, the scene on the opposite bank became clear. Yabai targeted a relatively gentle riverbank, abruptly turning the steering wheel while simultaneously pressing the accelerator. The front of the GTR lifted high, resembling a dragon emerging from the water as it charged onto the shore. With a resounding noise of tires screeching against the damp earth, the GTR executed a spectacular drift on the grass, landing steadily on all four wheels, ultimately coming to a precise stop at the bank. At that moment, several elderly fishermen seated by the shore were utterly dumbfounded. They had just been debating whether the sports car across the river was out of its mind, and in the blink of an eye, it had driven over from the opposite bank. One elder dropped his fishing rod into the water without noticing, his mouth agape, muttering, "Who is this genius? You're supposed to fish, and yet you reel in a GTR?" Another elder adjusted his glasses, staring intently at the car before finally stammering, "Wait, can a person even reel in something like that? So this car actually floated over from the river? No way. My goodness, I've truly seen it all." The fishermen on the bank erupted in excitement. Forgetting about fishing, they hurriedly pulled out their phones, capturing the still wet GTR in a frenzy of photographs. "Hey, honey, guess what I saw today?" came the impatient voice from the other end of the line. "What did you see? An F-22 or AJ-20? Always making a fuss." Even more outrageous. "I just saw a car floating on water. A GTR." Silence filled the line for a few seconds, followed by raucous laughter. "You old fool. You must be losing your mind from fishing. You might as well say you saw a UFO. Hurry back for dinner." In the car, Yabai turned off the engine and glanced at Xiao Ruyan, who was still in shock and embarrassment, a playful smile on his face. "Director Xiao, how was that experience?" His question made Xiao Ruyan's already flushed cheeks turn crimson, nearly as if they might bleed. "I want to go home." Why?" Yabai was slightly surprised. Was she already ready to leave? "Don't you want to experience a bit more?" "I want to go home and change my clothes." As soon as she finished speaking, a peculiar and rich fragrance began to waft through the car. Yabai, with a serious demeanor, assessed the situation, nodding before stating, "Of course, we can head back anytime." He then asked, "Overall, are you satisfied with the modifications?" "Very satisfied. Exceedingly satisfied," Xiao Ruyan answered eagerly, her voice brimming with excitement. Then, as if recalling something, she asked with a hint of anticipation, "Can we drive back again?" "Of course," Yabai chuckled lightly, maneuvering the steering wheel and accelerator. "It's only been a few minutes. Don't worry, this modified GTR can easily cruise on water for an hour." An hour. Upon hearing this, Xiao Ruyan's cheeks warmed again, her heart racing to the point of nearly leaping from her throat. Biting her lip, she spoke in a voice so sweet it could melt hearts. "That sounds wonderful." Meanwhile, Yabai's live stream had already exploded with excitement. "Where is he? The one who promised to send 100 gifts? Step forward. Be a man and fulfill your promise." Laughing out loud, he must have been scared into uninstalling the app and running away. "Come out, you coward. Don't pretend to be dead. The host is so amazing. Spending 100 gifts is worth it." This is a moment of witnessing history. As the viewers rallied to target that ID, the screen suddenly lit up with dazzling gold. An eye-catching banner, adorned with splendid effects, instantly occupied the entire screen. 10 water peaches sent as gifts x10. The barrage of 10 gifts detonated like heavy bombs, instantly elevating the atmosphere of the live stream. "Loyal fans, the water peaches have arrived. Host, I want to modify my car too. Can I have a chance? Your skills are incredible. Money is no object." Seeing the barrage and gifts from the water peaches, Yabai beamed with enthusiasm. Naturally, he would not refuse such a devoted fan and benefactor. "Water peaches, no need to be modest. Since you asked, I'll definitely arrange it for you. After I return, feel free to bring your car over anytime." "All right, everyone. Now, I'm going to drive back. However, simply returning in a mundane manner would be rather dull. So, let us aim for 3 million likes. Once we hit that mark, I'll treat you to a spectacular performance. Guaranteed to be something you've never witnessed in your life. As soon as these words were spoken, the audience in the live stream erupted with excitement. Their enthusiasm ignited to an undeniable fervor. 3 million likes? Who do you think you are underestimating, streamer? Come on, everyone, hit that button. Relentlessly. Charge. For the grand spectacle. Even a broken finger is worth it. I'm already anticipating it. The streamer has never disappointed us whenever he promises a big event. In an instant, the number of likes on the right side of the live stream screen began to soar at an astonishingly visible pace. Countless little red hearts erupted on the screen like a fountain. In the blink of an eye, the likes surpassed 1 million. Soon after, 2 million. Ultimately, propelled by the fervent clicks of the audience, the count not only breezed past the 3 million mark, but surged all the way up to a staggering 5 million before finally tapering off. Incredible. You guys are amazing. Yibai nodded in satisfaction. Now, everyone, buckle up and watch closely. He restarted the GTR. This time, the roar of the engine was even more ferocious. Yibai abruptly turned the steering wheel, directing the car back towards the expansive river. Hold on tight, he reminded Xiao Rian beside him. No sooner had the words left his mouth than he slammed the accelerator to the floor. Boom! The GTR shot forward, plunging into the river at an even faster pace than before. This time, it was not merely gliding. The front of the car was raised high, creating an angle between the vehicle and the water surface. Then, under the incredulous gazes of all, Yibai pressed a button on the central console. With a sharp whoosh, the power of the turbojet engine beneath the car was instantly maxed out, and an immensely powerful stream of air erupted towards the water's surface. Harnessing this tremendous recoil, the entire GTR leapt from the water like a legendary flying fish. The vehicle broke free from the water's constraints, tracing a parabolic arc through the air. Sunlight glinted off the blue chassis, casting a dazzling glow, and time seemed to slow at that moment. Xiao Rian beside him could no longer contain herself, letting out a piercing scream. This sensation was 100 times more exhilarating than any roller coaster in the world. The leap soared through the air for a full 30 meters. As the car began to succumb to gravity and plummet back down, the hearts of all viewers in the live stream raced to their throats, and Xiao Rian squeezed her eyes shut in fear. However, just as the car was about to crash into the water's surface, Yibai skillfully maneuvered again, instantly adjusting the angle of the jet outlet at the rear, releasing a gentle stream of air. With a soft puff, the GTR executed a clever posture adjustment in midair. Its dropping momentum immediately softened, and it descended back onto the water's surface as gracefully as a feather, landing smoothly without causing a significant splash, continuing to glide forward steadily. The entire process was seamless. Xiao Rian felt her adrenaline surge, her mind blank. The stark contrast from extreme weightlessness to instant stability left her tingling all over, an unprecedented, indescribable thrill coursing through her limbs. It was exhilarating. This was beyond anything else. The audience in the live stream was utterly captivated. What the hell? Is it really flying? The car is flying. No way. You can do that? This is no longer just crossing a river. It's low-altitude flying. 666. I don't even know what else to say. Streamer, take my knee. What kind of sorcery is this? This has surpassed my understanding of car modifications. This is black technology. Absolutely black technology. Amidst the overwhelming chorus of 666 in the live stream, Yibai expertly steered the GTR back to the original shore. With a gentle bump, the wheels touched the ground again. Then, with a precise parallel park, he came to a perfect stop beside Lin Jie and her daughter Su Qinghua. As he stepped out of the car with composure, Lin Jie and her daughter rushed over. Their expressions could scarcely be described as anything less than astonishment. The earlier spectacle of gliding on water and soaring through the air had utterly transformed their perception of car modifications. Little Yi, this is simply astounding. Lin Jie, accustomed to grand events, stammered her words. This is nothing short of miraculous. Incredible. Su Qinghua's beautiful eyes sparkled with admiration. She gazed at Yibai with unabashed reverence, unable to contain her excitement. Stepping forward and speaking with a hint of playful charm. Yibai, I want to try too. Can I sit in the passenger seat just once? Faced with the enthusiastic request of this vibrant and charming young woman, Yibai felt a pang of reluctance. He was not particularly keen on agreeing, having just taken Xiao Rian for a ride, and it felt a bit strange to switch passengers now. However, given that she was Lin Jie's daughter and a potential future client, outright refusal seemed inappropriate. Just as he hesitated, his phone suddenly rang from his pocket. Yi Bai, feeling a surge of relief, quickly pulled out the device to find that the caller was his uncle, Xiao Yunshan. Hello, uncle. What is up? On the other end, Xiao Yunshan's voice brimmed with urgency. Nephew, there's an emergency. Check your live stream. Are you near the creek? Yes, why? That is good. I've just received a call for help. On a boat downstream, a pregnant woman has gone into labor. It's critical, but the ambulance is stuck on the shore. The river is too wide, and they can't get across. It'll take at least half an hour for the boat to reach the dock. I was thinking, since your GTR can drive on water, could you quickly go over and help get the doctor and nurse on board to assist with the delivery? Lives are at stake. Hearing this, Su Qinghue's curiosity was piqued, and she couldn't help but interject. How strange. How did a pregnant woman end up on a boat? Isn't that a bit unreasonable if she is about to give birth? Lin Jie sighed at this, adopting the tone of someone who had been through it, explaining, there is nothing unusual about that. During pregnancy, a woman's hormone levels fluctuate dramatically, magnifying emotions and desires. Some pregnant women become particularly affectionate towards their husbands, while others, as you mentioned, can be irritable and unpredictable. I suppose that woman's husband, overwhelmed by her demands, took her on the boat to help her relax. Only to encounter this situation. In the passenger seat, Xiao Ruyan, just regaining her composure, frowned at this explanation. Such a man lacked any composure. Unable to soothe his wife's emotions, merely yielding to her whims without resolving the issue. All right, this isn't the time for complaints, Yi Bai interjected, his expression turning serious. We need to focus on saving lives. He hung up the call, then turned to the expectant Su Qinghue, apologetically saying, I'm sorry, Miss Su, but there is an emergency, and I must leave immediately to help. The test drive will have to wait until next time. Having clarified the specific location with his uncle, Yi Bai swiftly turned the car around and sped away. The GTR's engine emitted a deep roar, leaving a trail on the road. Within minutes, he arrived at the dock, spotting the anxious ambulance waiting nearby. As the car door swung open, a familiar figure leaped out. It was Yang Qingshui, the ambulance driver whom I had encountered previously on the highway. The moment Yang spotted Yi Bai's ostentatious GTR, his anxious heart was instantly at ease. He hurriedly approached, exclaiming, Master Yi, you finally made it. Turning to the ambulance, he called out, Dr. Fu, hurry, get into that GTR. Inside the vehicle, a woman dressed in a white coat, wearing glasses, and appearing to be in her 40s with a serious demeanor, promptly responded. She was Fu Jing, the chief physician of the obstetrics and gynecology department at the city hospital. Accompanied by 2 nurses, she stepped out of the ambulance, carrying heavy medical equipment. Fu Jing led her team to the GTR, carefully placing the emergency equipment in the trunk. After securing the gear, she scrutinized the futuristic car and then glanced around the desolate dock, her brow furrowing as she asked, Master, where's the speedboat? We must act swiftly. Leaning against the car door, Yi Bai smiled slightly and pointed at the GTR beneath their feet, saying, Dr. Fu, there is no need to look further. The speedboat is right here. What? Fu Jing was taken aback, her expression darkening as she adopted a stern tone. Are you joking? We need to save lives, a pregnant woman. 2 lives at stake. This is a dire situation, not a time for jokes. I'm not joking, Yi Bai maintained his smile, though his tone turned serious. I intend to drive this car to rescue them. Fu Jing's expression grew icy. She perceived this young man as foolishly trifling with the lives of patients. Immediately, she yanked the car door open and told the nurses, we need to get out. We can't let him act recklessly. However, as she attempted to exit, she discovered that the door had been locked by Yi Bai and was unyielding. At that moment, Fu Jing was utterly enraged. She whirled around, glaring at Yi Bai and shouted, What are you doing? Open the door. This is murder. You are being utterly irresponsible with lives. In response to her accusations, Yi Bai merely cast her a nonchalant glance, unwilling to waste time explaining. Time was of the essence, and arguing with a stubborn individual was futile, better to let actions speak. Without further hesitation, he pressed the accelerator. Roaring to life, the GTR's engine erupted in a deafening growl as the car surged forward, unimpeded, heading straight toward the edge of the dock and the rushing river. What are you doing? Crazy. Stop the car. Help. In the back seat, Fu Jing and the 2 nurses screamed in terror, utterly taken aback by this young man's reckless behavior. As they braced for impact, they closed their eyes in despair. Chapter 159. Oh no, this time it's truly a live birth. Fu Jing squeezed her eyes shut, trembling with fear. Desperate tears streamed down her cheeks uncontrollably. She felt as though her life was about to reach its end. What have I done wrong? Fu Jing lamented, her voice trembling. I studied medicine for 7 years. Spent 4 years as a resident, waking early and working late. enduring countless sleepless nights. I finally became a lead surgeon, and now I might perish before fulfilling my dreams. Why? Fu Jing's heart brimmed with regret, cursing her decision to enter this reckless vehicle, just as she succumbed to her fear of death. A young nurse beside her gently tapped her arm, her voice quivering with disbelief. Dr. Fu, look outside the window. What is there to look at? We're about to die? Fu Jing snapped, having lost all hope. No, doctor. We haven't fallen. The nurse urgently insisted. Not fallen. Fu Jing paused, instinctively opening her tear-blurred eyes. Doubtfully, she peered out the window, and to her astonishment, she was met not with disaster, but with the expansive river and the white waves parting around the car's body. They had not plunged into the water. The GTR was miraculously floating on the surface, gliding forward at an incredible speed. Fu Jing was utterly stunned. She rubbed her eyes, confirming that she was not dreaming. This surreal scene caused her mind to short-circuit. The fear and despair she had felt moments ago were replaced by an overwhelming astonishment. Slowly, she turned her head to the driver's seat. There sat Yi Bai, casually gripping the steering wheel, a relaxed demeanor and a faint smile gracing his lips, as if the earlier heart-stopping moments were nothing out of the ordinary for him. Seeing his calm demeanor ignited a flicker of irritation within Fu Jing, for he had frightened her to the brink. Yet, this annoyance was soon overwhelmed by an uncontrollable excitement from deep within. Through the rearview mirror, Yi Bai caught sight of her expression shifting from terror to shock and finally to a complex blend of emotions. With a smile, he remarked, Dr. Fu, see? I wasn't he joking, was I? At his words, Fu Jing felt her cheeks flush. She recalled her earlier outburst of tears and anger directed at Yi Bai, and a wave of shame washed over her. Biting her lip, the tension in her face softened, and her eyes sparkled with complex feelings. After a moment of silence, she spoke in a tone laced with apology, gratitude, and an underlying meaning. Once this is over, I will be sure to thank you properly. With the GTR soaring across the water, a journey that would normally take over half an hour was reduced to mere minutes. Soon, the boat anxiously waiting in the middle of the river came into view. Yi Bai expertly maneuvered the GTR close to the vessel, smoothly docking alongside. The people aboard, including the crew and the pregnant woman's family, were left awestruck as they witnessed a blue sports car gliding across the water like a speedboat, seemingly a miracle. Yet, with lives at stake, they had no time to ponder the mechanics of this extraordinary vehicle. A man in his 30s, his face etched with worry, quickly realized he was the husband of the pregnant woman. He urgently called the crew to lower the gangway, assisting in the transfer of Dr. Fu and the nurses onto the boat's deck. Doctor, hurry, my wife, she's in trouble. The husband's voice trembled, panic evident in his expression. As Fu Jing hastily made her way to the cabin, she commanded, quick, bring the emergency kit, prepare the sterilization tools, check the mother's cervix and vital signs. In Yi Bai's live stream, the audience held their breath, their hearts racing. Please ensure their safety, praying for mother and child. Go, doctor. You can do it. Come on, baby. May everything proceed smoothly. Inside the cabin, the cries of the laboring mother crescendoed. Fu Jing orchestrated everything with unwavering focus. Beads of sweat forming on her brow. The mother's blood pressure is elevated. Breathing is rapid. Fetal heart rate unstable. The nurses reported anxiously. Deep breaths. Follow my rhythm. Yes. Inhale, exhale. Fu Jing guided the mother with authority. Here comes the head. Push harder. Use your strength. After nearly an hour of intense effort, accompanied by a loud and clear cry, a new life has finally arrived. Wow. It's a boy. Congratulations. We did it. We won. Congratulations. Mother and child are safe. I can hardly believe I witnessed a birth in the live stream. How miraculous. Inside the cabin, a nurse cradled the tiny, crimson baby and excitedly told the exhausted mother, congratulations. It's a boy, weighing 5 kilograms, and he is very healthy. Outside the cabin, the anxious husband, upon hearing the baby's cry, was overwhelmed with emotion and tears welled up in his eyes. He rushed to Fu Jing, stammering, Thank you, doctor. You are truly a benefactor to our family. Fu Jing, weary but smiling, waved her hand and pointed to the GTR parked quietly by the boat and the driver. Yi Bai, you should really thank him, not me. If it weren't for him getting us here in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. The husband, upon hearing this, suddenly came back to reality. He hurriedly approached Yi Bai, bowing deeply in gratitude. Benefactor, thank you so much. You saved both my wife and child. You are our savior. Would you help me name my newborn? Yi Bai was taken aback by this unexpected request. After a moment of contemplation, he replied, Since we came towards this boat, which resembles a dish, how about we name him Xiangpan, meaning towards the dish, a name with clear significance and a memorial touch. Upon hearing this, Fu Jing's eyes sparkled, and she nodded in approval. Shangpan? Yes, that is a meaningful name. It sounds impressive. However, the father's expression suddenly stiffened upon hearing the name. Benefactor, the meaning is good, but my surname is Fong. Fong. Fong is in steering wheel. Yi Bai was momentarily dumbfounded. The surrounding crew and nurses were initially stunned. Then they could no longer contain their laughter, erupting into hearty guffaws. The audience in the live stream was equally amused by this unexpected twist. Chapter 160, Taking on New Business, Modifying Military Pickup Trucks. Amidst the laughter, this thrilling water rescue finally came to a close. Yi Bai drove the GTR, carrying the doctors and nurses back to the dock. Sister Lin and Su Qing were already waiting there. They had witnessed everything through the live stream, and aside from shock, their admiration for Yi Bai was profound. Mr. Yi, you truly opened my eyes today, Sister Lin approached with a smile of approval. You possess not only extraordinary modification skills, but also a compassionate heart for saving lives. I greatly admire you. As promised, if you can satisfy my dear friend, I will gift you a limited edition supercar from my collection. It seems your performance has far exceeded my expectations. You can choose any car from my garage at your convenience. Then, she proposed a new condition. However, I have a small request. I hope you can help modify a Maserati for my daughter Qingyu to be her transportation while studying at Beijing Foreign Studies University. The modification costs will be entirely on me. Yi Bai felt a stir of excitement at this lucrative business opportunity, especially considering it was from a top-tier wealthy client. No problem, he replied readily. Su Qing, hearing this, brightened up immediately and stepped forward. So, can I sit in the passenger seat now? I want to experience the thrill of drifting across the river in the GTR. I sincerely apologize for my previous underestimation of you. Just as Yi Bai was about to agree, the distant roar of engines caught their attention. They turned to see a convoy of military off-road vehicles majestically approaching the dock. Stirring up a cloud of dust, Yi Bai felt a sudden tension and turned to Su Qing, wearing a faintly apologetic smile. I think it might not be possible now. Why not? Su Qing felt a pang of disappointment, thinking Yi Bai was still upset with her past attitude. I already apologized. It's not about that. It's because a military general is here to see me. A general? Su Qing's eyes widened in disbelief. Are you serious? A general is here for you? Soon. Reality confirmed Yi Bai's words. The convoy of military vehicles came to a steady stop at the dock, and a tall, stern-faced middle-aged man stepped down from the lead vehicle. Clearly adorned with a major general's insignia, it was Long Hantian. Even Sister Lin, accustomed to grand scenes, felt a wave of unease. She instinctively tugged at her daughter's sleeve, signaling her to remain silent. Su Qing was utterly mesmerized, staring blankly at the commanding general approaching Yi Bai, her mind racing with shock. The general was indeed here for Yi Bai. Who is this young man, seemingly of similar age, to command such respect? Long Hantian strode confidently to Yi Bai. You never fail to surprise me. You even managed to bring cars across the river. You flatter me. It's just a small feat. Yi Bai replied modestly with a smile. This is no small feat. Long Hantian insisted earnestly. This technology, if applied to military use, holds tremendous strategic significance. But enough about that. I'm here to invite you to our military district to inspect our pickups and hope you can provide some guidance. Fresh off a wave of astonishment, Yi Bai eagerly agreed. He turned to bid farewell to everyone, and under their watchful eyes, he climbed into a military off-road vehicle. The moment the door closed, it felt as if two worlds had been separated. The interior was fully enclosed, with thick metal plates sealing the windows, leaving only a few small ventilation holes at the top. Yi Bai checked his phone. The screen displayed no service, the signal completely blocked. The vehicle started, and after a rather bumpy ride, it finally came to a halt. When Yi Bai stepped out, he found himself in an enormous underground space. The lighting was dim, with powerful incandescent lights hanging from the high ceiling, illuminating the vast factory area below. Surrounding him were concrete walls, and the distant hum of various machinery filled the air. Long Hantian gestured toward the expansive underground factory and introduced, "This is our Southern Theater's number 007 Military Research Institute. In the capital, there is also a No. 001 Military Research Institute, where the most advanced military technology and talent in the Dragon Nation congregate. Unfortunately, the best resources are usually prioritized for the Northern Theater." Yi Bai detected the underlying message in his words and smiled with confidence. Don't worry, now that I'm here, I will ensure our Southern Theater's equipment gets a significant upgrade. Great. With your assurance, I feel at ease. Long Hantian expressed his delight. He then led Yi Bai to a designated area for vehicles awaiting repair. Before them sat a dozen large military pickups, which resembled small trucks. But they all appeared quite worn and forlorn. Some vehicles were utterly devastated, their front ends unrecognizable, while others had gaping holes in their cabins. Some had their suspension systems completely severed, lying askew on the ground, with scarcely a single one remaining intact. These were the remnants of a recent cross-regional military exercise, damaged by the artillery of the Blue Army. Long Hantian sighed helplessly as he pointed at the wreckage. Yi Bai remained silent, approaching a severely damaged pickup truck. He extended his hand and pretended to knock on the vehicle's body, secretly activating the system's scanning function. Vehicle, Warrior Military Assault Vehicle. Vehicle condition, engine block ruptured. Transmission gears severely worn, chassis frame twisted and deformed, suspension system fractured in multiple places. Electronic Control Unit, ECU, burned out. Is modification and upgrade possible? Yes, a series of fault messages floated through Yi Bai's mind. If modification was feasible, then there was no issue. Are there any specific requirements for the vehicle upgrades? Long Hantian pondered for a moment before responding, stating two main requests. First, he hoped to increase the vehicle's cargo capacity to enhance their logistical support capabilities. Second, he desired it to adapt to more complex terrains, such as swamps, mountainous regions, and even shallow waters, thereby augmenting the mobility and infiltration capabilities of their troops. Yi Bai nodded thoughtfully. Chapter 161. Requirements for all-terrain capability and high cargo capacity? Any ideas? Long Hantian's spirits lifted. Observing his enthusiasm, Yi Bai chose to tease him. This was merely a preliminary concept. I need to return to my auto repair shop to devise a specific plan. Return to your auto repair shop? Long Hantian waved his hand dismissively. There's no need for such trouble. Here at my 007 Research Institute, we have everything. All sorts of equipment, absolutely top-notch in the country. You can modify it right here. If you need anything, I'll have it arranged immediately. Is that so? Then I must take a good look. Yi Bai raised an eyebrow, sensing his interest. Long Hantian puffed out his chest with pride, personally guiding Yi Bai to the core area of the Research Institute. They passed through a heavy alloy door that required both iris and fingerprint verification, revealing a breathtaking sight. Long Hantian pointed to a dust-free laboratory where precision equipment was operated by mechanical arms, proudly introducing. See that? Military-grade MLCC, multi-layer ceramic capacitors. Our products, whether in dielectric constant or voltage resistance, have reached the world's most advanced levels. He then led Yi Bai to another laboratory filled with complex signal transceivers. This is our independently developed 5G military communication system adapter, unrivaled in anti-jamming and confidentiality. Even in the most complex electromagnetic environments, it ensures the smooth flow of command information. Next came the high-energy density battery laboratory and the composite armor materials laboratory, with Long Hantian enthusiastically showcasing the Institute's treasures. This is our pride, the metal 3D printing laboratory. We can directly print the core components of fighter jet engines using this technology. Both in precision and strength, it rivals traditional forging processes. Long Hantian's boastful words clearly reflected his immense pride. To him, these achievements, the culmination of countless top scientists' efforts from Long Country, were enough to astonish any connoisseur. However, after listening to his introduction and observing all the equipment, Yi Bai maintained a calm smile, unimpressed. Just this? What do you think? Long Hantian asked, eager for his opinion. The equipment here should meet your standards, right? Yi Bai surveyed the surroundings, nodded, then shook his head, ultimately delivering an evaluation that nearly left Long Hantian speechless. Well, these devices are barely adequate. Barely adequate. Long Hantian's eyes widened in disbelief, clearly unconvinced. This is the best we can offer from our southern theater. I know. Yi Bai replied with a smile. However, once I establish my own factory in the capital, I can assure you that the equipment there will far exceed what you have here. Long Hantian was genuinely skeptical. Each piece of equipment represented a vast research framework, having overcome countless technological barriers through immense time, manpower, and financial investment. Achieving a comprehensive surpassing, or even reaching the forefront of global standards, was no easy feat nevertheless. He recognized that Yi Bai was not one to boast lightly. Suppressing his doubts, he resolved to wait and see. All right, I want to see what tricks you can conjure up. Commander Long, during the modification period, I require an absolutely independent private space, free from any disturbances, including surveillance. No problem. Long Hantian readily agreed. I'll clear out the largest independent workshop for you, ensuring that not even a fly can get in. After receiving Long Hantian's assurance, Yi Bai was led to a vast, completely sealed independent modification workshop. Upon reaching the center of the workshop, Yibai casually found a spot to sit down, closed his eyes, and adopted a meditative posture. His consciousness immediately sank into the laboratory. Yibai first conducted preliminary optimizations and upgrades on the vehicle's power system, suspension system, and cargo structure based on Long Hantian's requirements. Subsequently, he initiated the all-terrain simulation tests in the laboratory. The virtual test scenarios began to shift rapidly: desert, hills, jungle, and Gobi. The truck, after preliminary modifications, showcased excellent performance in these conventional complex terrains, boasting powerful dynamics and smooth navigation. However, Yibai frowned. This could not achieve true all-terrain traversal. As the simulated scenarios shifted to more extreme terrains, the vehicle's shortcomings became glaringly apparent. If deployed on a battlefield, it would struggle to effectively navigate enemy-dug trenches and established lines, let alone maneuver under tank fire. To enable this vehicle to truly transcend terrain limitations and navigate freely on the battlefield was an immense challenge. Yibai paced back and forth in the laboratory, lost in deep thought. Just as he was on the verge of giving up, his gaze inadvertently swept over a module group list, revealing a set of modules he had previously overlooked. Suddenly, an idea struck. Yibai promptly opened the detailed description of this module set: Dynamic Optical Camouflage Module, Infrared Temperature Regulation Module, Radar Active Cancellation Module, Magnetic Wave Absorbing Material Module, and Silent Electric Platform Module. Upon reading through the functions, Yibai's mind buzzed. Charging recklessly was not true all-terrain capability. Genuine all-terrain capability meant making oneself undetectable to the enemy, rendering all obstacles and defenses meaningless. This was the essence of true dimensionality reduction strikes. However, when he saw the staggering value required for this entire set of modifications, his heart sank. The complete overhaul demanded a shocking 5 to 6 million shock value. Yet, he currently possessed a pitiful 8 million, hardly enough for a fraction of the cost. It appeared he must devise a plan to harvest another significant wave of shock value. With this thought, Yibai exited the system space, opened his eyes, and left the modification workshop. Commander Long, I've just recalled an urgent matter that requires my attention outside. Long Hantian was somewhat taken aback. What matter could be so pressing? I can arrange anything you need here. I have developed a new firefighting product that is finally ready for rollout, Yibai explained. It's the aerial firefighting cannon I mentioned to you before. An aerial firefighting cannon? Long Hantian was momentarily stunned, unable to reconcile the disparate concepts of firefighting and an anti-aircraft cannon. However, the mere thought of Yibai's previous ingenious inventions filled him with curiosity, compelling him to see what this intriguing creation truly was. All right, you may proceed. Yet, I wouldn't mind if you brought along 2 of our institute's young researchers to witness this as well, allowing them to learn from your spirit of innovation. Yibai paused momentarily, yet ultimately acquiesced. Chapter 162, Drafting a Blueprint. With 2 academicians assisting you? Long Hantian soon arrived at an office within the research institute, specifically designated for top-tier experts. Inside, 2 elderly gentlemen, their hair grayed yet brimming with vitality, were passionately engaged in a discussion over a complex structural blueprint. They were Academician Yang Xiaomin and Academician Zhang Ming. Old Yang, Old Zhang, Long Hantian greeted cheerfully as he entered. The 2 paused their discussion and turned towards him. Long Tian, back so soon. What of that young fellow Yibai? Has he begun the modifications? Academician Yang inquired. Don't mention it, Long Hantian replied, shaking his head in exasperation. He said he needed to return to his small auto repair shop first. To do what? Both academicians expressed curiosity. He mentioned he wanted to research a firefighting anti-aircraft gun. Upon hearing this term, the esteemed academicians exchanged bemused glances, their faces reflecting disbelief. Nonsense. With such an important and mature military project at hand, why would he divert his attention to a firefighting anti-aircraft gun? This is simply diversionary. After a moment of contemplation, Academician Zhang Ming spoke in a relatively gentle tone. I believe we cannot entirely fault him. This young man, despite his whimsical ideas, lacks systematic scientific training. While he may manage to concoct something in the realm of firefighting equipment and civilian vehicles through sheer cleverness, military vehicles are an entirely different beast, a vast and intricate system where every detail can determine life or death on the battlefield. He may have found it daunting, unsure of where to begin, thus seeking an excuse to temporarily retreat. Listening to the analyses of the 2 academicians, Long Hantian found some merit in their words. Nevertheless, his curiosity about the so-called firefighting anti-aircraft gun remained piqued. You both make valid points. However, I believe it would not hurt to take a look. As the saying goes, when one door closes, another opens. Perhaps he might indeed create something astonishing in the field of firefighting. It would serve as a pleasant diversion. Seeing his determination, the academicians could only sigh in resignation. They had little hope for Yi Bai, but did not wish to offend Long Hantian, a high-ranking military official. Very well. Academician Yang Qiaomin stated, rising to stretch his limbs. I shall accompany you, General, to see what he can concoct with the anti-aircraft gun. Thus, the group took military vehicles and returned to the Yunxiao auto repair shop. Upon their arrival, Sun Ling was busy organizing orders in the workshop. Spotting Yi Bai accompanied by several distinguished individuals, she promptly set aside her tasks to prepare tea for them. During their light-hearted conversation, Sun Ling's keen ears caught several key phrases. Academician, and from the Dragon Science Institute. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the tea tray. Though she did not fully grasp the academic terminology, she was acutely aware of the significance of the title academician. These were the individuals at the pinnacle of the national scientific hierarchy. In all of Long Country, there were merely 3,000 to 4,000 academicians, with fewer than 10,000 having ever held such a title since the establishment of the nation. Now, 2 living academicians were seated in her modest auto repair shop, engaged in jovial discourse with her boss. Sun Ling's heart surged with excitement. Stealing a glance at her boss Yi Bai, she noticed he remained composed and unruffled in the presence of the 2 national treasures. How extraordinary he was. It seemed that since aligning herself with Yi Bai, her circle of acquaintances had expanded to increasingly impressive heights, bordering on the absurd. After settling the distinguished guests, Yi Bai wasted no time in initiating the drawing of the firefighting anti-aircraft gun's blueprint. Initially intending to observe, academician Zhang Ming found himself irresistibly drawn to Yi Bai's drafting process. However, as he watched, his expression gradually shifted. Yi Bai's drawings adhered impeccably to the highest standards of national engineering drafting. This was not the work of an amateur, but rather the hand of a true master. What astonished him further were the exceedingly stringent requirements Yi Bai had placed on the processing techniques of several key components in the annotations. One particular irregularly shaped part required meticulous manual filing to achieve surface, smoothness, and dimensional precision at the micron level. This demanded at least a 5th-level machinist-esque skill. Academician Zhang Ming was taken aback. Old Yang, come quickly to see this. What is it? Why the fuss? Academician Yang Qiaomin reluctantly approached. Yet, the moment his gaze fell upon the blueprint, he too was rendered speechless. This drafting skill, these craftsmanship requirements are indeed professional. Moreover, the manual crafting skills demanded exceed those of many doctoral advisors trained in our field. While the 2 academicians were left utterly astonished, Yi Bai, engrossed in his drawing, finally sensed their presence. Upon realizing it was the 2 academicians, he naturally remarked, "Oh, you have arrived? Are you here to assist?" Without awaiting their response, he gestured with his chin toward a corner of the blueprint that was fluttering slightly in the breeze, instructing in a tone of undeniable authority. Perfect. You can help me by holding that corner of the blueprint steady. Do not let it move. This casual demeanor and commanding tone left both academicians momentarily stunned. In that instant, they felt as though they had returned to their youth, standing as apprentices before their respective mentors. Reflexively, they extended their hands, cautiously stabilizing the blueprint for Yi Bai. At that moment, Sun Ling approached with a cup of freshly brewed tea, only to be frozen in place at the sight before her. The 2 esteemed academicians from the Dragon Science Institute were, astonishingly, assisting her boss like 2 elementary apprentices. Sun Ling felt her worldview shift once more. Her boss was simply remarkable. This was beyond extraordinary. Long Hantian, having given a few instructions to the guards outside, entered the room. Upon stepping inside, he was greeted by this almost surreal scene. The 2 venerable academicians were dutifully assisting Yi Bai. He understood their temperaments well. Both were prideful individuals. If Yi Bai had not showcased sufficient prowess to earn their respect, they would never have lowered themselves in this manner. Chapter 163. The firefighting anti-aircraft gun is completed. Finally, after nearly 2 hours of effort, Yi Bai concluded the last stroke. He straightened his aching back, releasing a long sigh of relief. The 2 academicians, utterly captivated, immediately surrounded him, their eyes gleaming as they gazed upon the blueprint, which could only be described as a work of art. Comrade Xiaoyi, academician Zhang Ming's address had unconsciously shifted to one of reverence. Pointing at a meticulously crafted linkage device on the blueprint, the speaker's voice trembled slightly. This design for pneumatic loading and ballistic compensation is nothing short of genius. How did you conceive it? And the application of materials. It not only ensures high strength, but also reduces weight through structural design. How remarkably clever. How is this achieved? Faced with the probing inquiries of 2 top experts, Yi Bai merely waved his hand dismissively. It's quite simple. The technology behind anti-aircraft artillery is well understood. It revolves around fundamental principles. My firefighting anti-aircraft artillery primarily employs two core modules. The first is the dual-mode extinguishing module, which has two operational modes, a conventional water or foam jet mode. To tackle various fire scenarios, I designed two rapidly switchable nozzles. One is a columnar nozzle, concentrating the water flow for strong penetration, specifically aimed at stubborn ignition points in high-rise buildings. The other is a mist nozzle, which can instantly generate a large area of water mist, covering extensive ground fires effectively. The second, and even more critical, is the dry powder extinguishing projectile launching mode. This utilizes a high-pressure pneumatic launching system, emitting almost no noise or flame upon firing. Inside the projectile, an efficient ABC dry powder extinguishing agent is housed. The warhead is designed with dual-trigger fuses, activated by impact or high temperatures, causing an instantaneous explosion to disperse the dry powder evenly. Then there is the intelligent fire source locking and ballistic correction module integrated into the turret. It features infrared thermal imaging and high-definition visible light cameras, capable of dual-band detection with an effective range exceeding 2,000 meters. The built-in fire control algorithm calculates the optimal ballistic trajectory based on the detected fire source's position. Additionally, it dynamically adjusts the impact point by integrating environmental factors such as wind speed and atmospheric pressure through sensors, achieving fully automated precision targeting. Moreover, Yibai pointed at the tail design of the extinguishing projectile. I have also designed a stabilizing structure with guiding fins at the rear, significantly enhancing the projectile's stability during flight and further aiding in aerodynamic ballistic optimization. The two academicians were momentarily stunned, their astonishment growing with each revelation. The dual-mode extinguishing, intelligent locking, automatic ballistic correction, and guiding fin stabilization technologies, each worthy of extensive research on their own, were all incorporated into what was dubbed a firefighting anti-aircraft artillery. This was extraordinarily lavish. Academician Yang Xiaomin felt his throat dry up as he gazed at the blueprint, his eyes filled with longing. Comrade Yi, may we examine this blueprint in more detail? No, that would waste my time. I need it to be operational, Yibai replied, promptly picking up the blueprint and beckoning to Sun Ling in the distance. Sun Ling, come here. Immediately break down this master blueprint into subdrawings according to the different components, and distribute them to our partner factories, instructing them to produce these components with utmost speed. Understood, boss. Sun Ling promptly accepted the blueprint. The two academicians could only watch helplessly as the blueprint was taken away, their hearts heavy with reluctance and anticipation. Upon receiving the order, the factory immediately ramped up production, working tirelessly. Meanwhile, academicians Yang Xiaomin and Zhang Ming, upon learning that the blueprints had been dispatched to Tianjin for production, could no longer remain seated. They swiftly utilized their connections to contact the head of the Tianjin Fire Department, insisting on visiting the production site for first-hand observation. The Tianjin Fire Department, understandably cautious around these national treasures, knew that this matter was primarily led by Yibai, thus requiring his approval. When Yibai received the call, he was not surprised. He graciously agreed to their visit, but made it clear, observations are welcome, but there will be a fee. If you wish to apply my technology to your military projects in the future, the patent fees will be non-negotiable. Without a moment's hesitation, the two academicians assured Yibai, guaranteeing that money would not be an issue as long as the technology was genuine. Thus, the two seasoned experts, nearing a combined age of 150 years, eagerly followed the staff of the Tianjin Fire Department to the production workshop. Long Hantian observed their impatient demeanor with increasing curiosity. He found it hard to comprehend how a mere firefighting cannon could possess such high technological content, enough to fluster two academicians accustomed to national treasures. Yibai, is your firefighting cannon truly that impressive? Yibai smiled mysteriously. In a couple of days, once it's completed, you can see for yourself. Intrigued by Yibai's confidence, Long Hantian responded, all right, since you are so assured, let's put your claims to the test. I will bring over a few real anti-aircraft guns for a live comparison to see whose is superior. Really? Yibai's eyes sparkled at the prospect. The opportunity to operate a genuine anti-aircraft gun was indeed a remarkable fortune. That's splendid. I eagerly await your arrival, Commander Long, Yibai exclaimed with enthusiasm. Days passed swiftly. One day, outside the Yunshao Auto Repair Factory, the rumble of heavy trucks echoed. Long Hantian personally drove in, bringing with him 4 artillery pieces tightly covered with canvas, exuding an imposing presence as he arrived at the repair factory. Yibai, I've brought the equipment. Is your firefighting anti-aircraft gun ready? It has been ready for some time, Yibai replied, gesturing towards a heavy truck approaching from the distance. His gaze fell upon the 4 genuine artillery pieces brought by Long Hantian. Curiously, he approached and lifted a corner of the canvas. He noticed the words imprinted on the artillery, Z1 type artificial rain and hail prevention anti-aircraft gun. Yi Bai couldn't help but chuckle. Commander Long, you brought over the Weather Bureau's anti-aircraft gun. I thought it was something extraordinary. Long Hantian, recognizing that Yi Bai had identified it immediately, replied without reservation, you have sharp eyes. However, do you truly believe I would only bring you these outdated relics from the Weather Bureau? I've also procured the most advanced equipment for you. Chapter 164. Are you joking? Can we really live broadcast from a military base? What's on this truck is the most advanced single-barrel 35mm anti-aircraft gun currently equipped in our combat zone. But the space here is limited for proper demonstration. The real spectacle lies at the nearby military base, where a dedicated shooting range is available. Long Hantian looked at Yi Bai seriously. I can take you in and even allow you to live broadcast, but there are a few prerequisites. First, during the broadcast, the camera can capture images, but it must not clearly show the key components or details of the equipment. Second, you can conduct live-fire experiments, but you must not disclose any specific performance parameters or data during the broadcast. Can you comply? Absolutely. Yi Bai readily agreed, fully aware of the importance of military confidentiality. Long Hantian's willingness to make such significant concessions was already a grand favor. Sun Ling, overhearing this exchange, was utterly astonished. A military base? We can actually go to a military base? My goodness, that is a place ordinary people could never hope to set foot in. She felt her heart racing, excitement causing her cheeks to flush. Once the itinerary was finalized, Yi Bai immediately instructed Sun Ling to initiate a live broadcast warm-up. With a heart full of anticipation, Sun Ling posted a teaser on Yi Bai's official live streaming account. Attention, dear viewers. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., the host will take you into a mysterious location for an unprecedented live broadcast. Location, a military base in the southern war zone of Longhua. Don't miss it. The moment this announcement was made, it stirred a tremendous uproar online. Initially, most netizens thought it was a joke from Yi Bai's team. A deliberate ploy to generate hype for a new product. Live streaming from a military base? Are you awake, host? Do you think this is a movie? This is absurd. That's our Longhua military base, not like those foreign ones. The management of military facilities here is stricter than you can imagine. Exactly. Forget about live streaming. Even passing by in a car and stopping to glance would have a guard coming to check you. Soon after, various knowledgeable individuals began to elaborate on the strict management of domestic military bases. From the no-fly zones and restricted airspace extending dozens of kilometers outward, to the multiple layers of sentries and patrols within the base, along with ubiquitous electronic surveillance and signal jammers. Each point underscored how ludicrous it would be to enter a military base, let alone conduct a live stream there. As the discourse deepened, public sentiment began to shift. Some ill-intentioned individuals started to fan the flames. Why not focus on live streaming products? Why resort to such gimmicks for attention? This is getting more outrageous. I see this as mere publicity stunts. Let us see how they handle it tomorrow. Unsubscribed. I'm tired of these attention-seeking hosts. They lack sincerity. In an instant, the comment section of the live stream and various social media platforms erupted with skepticism and vitriol. Sun Ling, witnessing the malicious comments, felt a mix of anxiety and anger. She desperately defended herself in the comments, assuring everyone that this was legitimate and sanctioned by the military. However, no matter how she explained, it was futile. Instead, she was mocked as a brainwashed fan. Boss, I'm sorry. It's all my fault for letting you be criticized by fans. Yi Bai, seeing her on the verge of tears, gently patted her shoulder. It's all right. Don't pay attention to this. The voices online are a mix of truth and falsehood. Why bother? He reassured her. Tomorrow, when we arrive at the military base and the cameras roll, all the slander will naturally be dispelled. The next morning, a heavy truck emblazoned with the words Tianjin Firefighting Strategic Partner slowly entered the Yunshao Auto Repair Factory. The truck was loaded with newly manufactured fire anti-aircraft guns, disassembled into several modules. Yi Bai and Sun Ling approached to inspect and sign for the delivery, observing the gleaming metallic components, exuding an industrial aesthetic. Yi Bai nodded in satisfaction. He then addressed the delivery representative. Sir, thank you for your hard work. I have one more favor to ask. Could you assist in transporting this batch to another location? I will cover the shipping costs separately. The representative, a cheerful middle-aged man, waved his hand dismissively. Mr. Yi, you're too polite. Unfortunately, we have to pick up another order right after this, so we can't spare the time. However, I can connect you with a logistics company we frequently collaborate with. They have large trucks and reliable service. That would be great. Yi Bai nodded. Please help me reach out to them. Absolutely. The representative took out his phone, preparing to dial while asking, Mr. Yi, could you provide the specific address for me to relay? Without hesitation, Yi Bai divulged the destination, Southern War Zone of Longhua, Xiong-ing Mountain Military Base. Oh, Xiong-ing Mountain Military Base? The representative's finger froze on the phone screen. He looked up, his smile vanishing. His gaze fixated on Yi Bai as if he were an extraterrestrial. Did you just say where? The military base, Yi Bai reiterated. The military base? The representative was taken aback, instinctively stepping back, shaking his hands. Mr. Yi, please don't joke with me. That place is not meant for us to go. He assumed Yi Bai was merely teasing him, finding the jest far too grand. Just then, the sound of an engine approached. A military off-road vehicle with a white license plate came to a steady stop before them. The window rolled down, and a young soldier clad in camouflage leaned out, saluting Yi Bai with precision. Mr. Yi, is this shipment to be transported? The soldier pointed to the modules of fire anti-aircraft guns on the truck and continued. Long Jun has already arranged for us to transport it using our military transport vehicle. Upon seeing the genuine military vehicle and hearing the soldier's words, the representative's mind went blank, the reality crashing down on him. This was astonishingly true. His face went pale, and he began to tremble. Mr. Yi, I didn't hear anything. I know nothing. I must leave, he exclaimed, scrambling into his truck, flooring the accelerator in a panicked escape. Hey, sir. The shipping costs haven't been settled yet. Yi Bai called out, bemused as he watched the man flee. Pay later is fine. Yi Bai shook his head, bemused. Once everything was prepared, he and Sun Ling climbed into the military off-road vehicle. The convoy set off slowly, passing through numerous heavily guarded checkpoints, until a vast military base, radiating an air of solemnity, finally came into view. Chapter 165. I can't believe we are truly at a military base. Upon entering the base, the vehicle did not halt, but drove straight to an expansive outdoor shooting range situated deep within the compound. There, a colossal machine stood silently, its cannon angled toward the sky, emanating an aura of chilling lethality. Its chassis was tracked, covered in heavy armor, while two elongated and menacing 35mm gun barrels stood side by side atop the turret, accompanied by advanced radar and electro-optical fire control systems. This was the cornerstone of the current Army's air defense system and one of the most advanced self-propelled anti-aircraft guns in the world, the PGZ-09 dual-barrel 35mm self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. The moment Yi Bai stepped out of the vehicle, his gaze was irresistibly drawn to this war machine. He hurried forward, eyes gleaming with fervor, discreetly activating the system's scanning function. Equipment name, PGZ-09 dual-barrel 35mm self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. Firing rate, single barrel 550 rounds per minute. Dual barrel simultaneous fire 1,100 rounds per minute. Effective range, 4,000 meters. Fire control system, integrated radar, tracking radar, electro-optical sight. Reaction time under 6 seconds. Ammunition types, high explosive incendiary tracer rounds, armor-piercing rounds, ahead programmable pre-fragmented rounds. A series of astonishingly detailed parameters flooded into Yi Bai's mind. He was secretly astounded. Indeed, this was a national treasure, and its performance was undeniably formidable. At that moment, Long Hantian approached, his expression radiating pride akin to a father admiring his accomplished son, as he began to recount the details of the 09 model anti-aircraft gun. Naturally, due to confidentiality protocols, the data he shared was deliberately vague. Yi Bai, look. This magnificent piece of machinery is the pride of our air defense forces. Its fire control system is remarkably advanced, capable of executing a transition from target locking to tracking in an exceedingly brief time frame. As Long Hantian's words lingered in the air, Yi Bai interjected nonchalantly. Isn't it less than 6 seconds? Long Hantian paused, momentarily taken aback by Yi Bai's assertion. Yet he brushed it aside and continued his exposition. Its dual-barrel salvo boasts an exceptionally high firing rate, delivering a densely packed barrage that can instantaneously create an impenetrable wall of fire. Whether faced with swarms of drones or low-altitude penetrating cruise missiles, once locked on, there is no escape. Yi Bai added, the theoretical firing rate for the dual-barrel salvo can reach up to 100 rounds per minute. At this revelation, Long Hantian's expression transformed entirely. He halted his description, turned to Yi Bai, and regarded him with an incredulous gaze. How do you know this? While this information is not classified at the highest levels, it is certainly not accessible to the average individual. The data Yi Bai articulated matched the real parameters precisely. Yi Bai shrugged, feigning innocence. Just a guess. By observing the caliber and structure of the barrel, combined with the types of targets it aims to intercept, one can estimate the firing rate range. Guessing. Long Hantian felt as though his worldview had been shattered. How could one make such an inference? What extraordinary insight and analytical ability is this? He pointed to the radar antenna. And what about this? Can you venture a guess as to its effective operational range? Approximately 20 kilometers for detecting low-altitude aircraft targets, Yi Bai replied with casual ease. Long Hantian was rendered speechless, staring at Yi Bai as if he were a monster. This was no mere guess. It was as if he had memorized the manual. Is your eye a ruler? Yi Bai, amused by Long Hantian's astonishment, replied, close enough. I'm particularly sensitive to machinery. How about you show me a few more formidable machines, like tanks or armed helicopters? I might just be able to make a similar estimation. Enough. Long Hantian waved his hand, feeling that if he allowed Yi Bai to continue observing, the entire base's secrets would be laid bare. He dared not take that risk. Suppressing the tumult within, he shifted the topic. Let us not dwell on this. Prepare for the live broadcast. It's time for a test. I want to see whether your fire control cannon or my Type 09 is superior. As preparations at the firing range concluded, Yi Bai took a deep breath and tapped the button to commence the live stream. Hello, everyone. We meet again. Upon the opening of the live stream, only a handful of loyal fans trickled in due to the previous pacing. However, when they beheld the backdrop in the live stream, all were momentarily stunned. The scene displayed was no longer the familiar auto repair shop, but an expansive outdoor shooting range. After a brief silence, the chat exploded with messages. What the heck? Where's this? My goodness. The backdrop, the shooting range, the armored vehicles. Are you really at a military base? Of course, many remained skeptical. Don't be foolish. This must be a digitally altered background. Or perhaps a military-themed park from a film set. Exactly. It has to be fake. With green screen technology so advanced, creating a backdrop is trivial. Seeing these comments, Yi Bai merely smiled. He then approached a waiting military vehicle and addressed the soldier at the driver's seat. Brother, could you take me for a spin around this range? The soldier nodded, and Yi Bai hopped into the back seat of the open military vehicle, holding his phone aloft. He captured a 360-degree view of the surroundings. As the vehicle moved, the scenery in the live stream continuously transformed, revealing everything to the audience. The live stream was set ablaze. Oh my gosh, it's real. This ISN-T digitally altered. This ISN-T special effects. Good heavens. Did I just see a Type 99 main battle tank passing by? Am I hallucinating? Host, you're incredible. You're my only bro. You managed to live stream from a military base. What an extraordinary backdrop. What about those who said the host was just boasting? How does it feel to have your face slapped? The live stream's popularity surged at an alarming rate. 1,000, 5,000. In the blink of an eye, the viewer count surpassed 10,000. Witnessing this swift ascent in viewership, Yi Bai sensed the moment had arrived. Brothers, since everyone is so enthusiastic, let us go big today. Do you see that massive piece over there? That's my latest firefighting product. Once the viewer count exceeds 100,000, we'll commence today's test. Upon hearing this, the audience's excitement ignited. What are we waiting for? Let us bring in more people. Rally the troops. I'm going to call everyone from our dorm. Watching the testing of new military equipment at a military base? I can brag about this for a year. I've shared this across all car enthusiast and military enthusiast groups. The host must trend on hot searches today. The viewership soared once again, rapidly surpassing the 100,000 mark. Chapter 166. Is there really fire in the sky? The test officially commenced. First up were the Z-1 type anti-aircraft cannons borrowed from the Meteorological Bureau, designed for artificial rain enhancement. Yi Bai approached the cannon and began to inform the viewers. Brothers, let us first examine this reference model. These cannons might look somewhat unfamiliar. They are actually older models retired from our military, now primarily serving in the Meteorological Bureau for artificial rain or hail prevention operations. These cannons utilize specially designed rain-enhancing or anti-hail shells, which explode at high altitudes to disseminate catalysts that influence the weather. Their effective range is relatively short, with a maximum range of about 500 meters, and they require manual operation, relying heavily on experience for aiming, with accuracy being somewhat mediocre. After introducing the meteorological cannon, Yi Bai turned the camera towards the imposing PG-09 self-propelled anti-aircraft gun nearby. Now, let us take a look at this heavyweight contender. His voice carried a hint of admiration. This is one of the most advanced self-propelled anti-aircraft guns currently in service with our Army. It features a dual-barrel 35mm configuration, an automatic fire control system, rapid response, and fierce firepower. Its effective range can easily reach 4,000 meters, specifically designed to counter various low-altitude penetrating aerial threats. After introducing these two reference models, Yi-Bai finally arrived at his firefighting anti-aircraft cannon. Finally, let us behold today's star. When firing specialized extended-range firefighting shells, my cannon boasts an impressive maximum effective range of 10,000 meters. What? As soon as Yi-Bai finished speaking, Long Hantian, standing nearby, could no longer contain himself and exclaimed in disbelief, his eyes wide as saucers, his face a mask of incredulity. 10,000 meters. Are you joking? This range far exceeds that of the vast majority of operational anti-aircraft guns in the world. It could threaten aircraft flying at medium to high altitudes. Long Hantian felt his mind struggling to comprehend the implications. What on earth does a firefighting cannon need such a long range for? Are you planning to extinguish fires in the sky? What fires could possibly exist up there? In response to Long Hantian's inquiry, Yi-Bai blinked innocently, wearing an expression of utmost sincerity. General Long, warfare is still a form of fire. We must be prepared for any eventuality. Just imagine, if one day, heaven forbid, the flames of war were to reach our homeland, with enemy aircraft causing chaos above us. Wouldn't we need to employ my firefighting anti-aircraft artillery to extinguish those flames promptly? Long Hantian was momentarily taken aback by Yi-Bai's peculiar logic. After all, fire is indeed fire. There seems to be no flaw in that reasoning. Using a firefighting cannon to target aircraft may sound absurd, yet upon further reflection, isn't that essentially air defense? It does seem to make sense. Long Hantian found himself at a loss for words. Yi-Bai's words were broadcasted live, resonating clearly in the ears of every viewer. What the heck? What did I just hear? Fire is still fire. Ha. I'm literally dying of laughter. Is the host not even pretending anymore? Integrating peace and war, civil-military fusion. Such a high level of ideological awareness. In peacetime, it's a firefighting tool. In wartime, it's a powerful air defense weapon. Incredible. I'm totally blown away by this. I suggest we directly equip the troops. This isn't merely a firefighting cannon. It's clearly a super anti-aircraft artillery disguised under the guise of firefighting. The audience in the live stream was completely exhilarated. Amidst the chorus of admiration and disbelief, Yi-Bai officially commenced the first test. He began by operating several Z-1 model anti-aircraft guns from the Meteorological Bureau. With the assistance of soldiers, specially designed rain-inducing shells were loaded into the barrels. Brothers, we all know that water can extinguish fire. However, if the area of the fire is too vast, the coverage of a regular fire truck's hose is limited, rendering it inefficient. What we are about to do is create a localized, high-intensity rainfall directly above the fire. Boom, boom, boom. After several muffled explosions, multiple rain-inducing shells whistled toward the sky above the target area. Moments later, faint explosions echoed in the high altitude, and visible white smoke began to spread through the air. A miraculous scene unfolded. The previously clear sky began to gather dark clouds in the area affected by the white smoke. The clouds thickened, their color shifting from white to gray, ultimately transforming into a heavy leaden hue. Within just a few minutes, a torrential downpour descended, accurately covering a vast area of the simulated fire scene below. The entire audience in the live stream was left in awe. No way, it's really raining. Is this artificial rain? How magical. Incredible. It's raining directly above the fire. This extinguishing efficiency surpasses any fire truck. I know it's science, but it looks so surreal. The success of the first test piqued everyone's curiosity. Yi-Bai then turned his attention to the true war machine, the PGZ-09 self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. While artificial rain can combat widespread ground fires, what if the source of the flames originates from the sky? Yi-Bai's tone grew serious. For instance, a swarm of drones carrying incendiary devices. As his words fell, over 30 disc launchers around the range were activated simultaneously. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, hundreds of orange discs were launched into the sky from various angles at incredible speeds. Their trajectories varied, soaring up and down, perfectly simulating an attacking drone swarm. The moment the discs appeared, the radar of the 09 anti-aircraft gun instantly locked onto the targets. The turret rotated at a speed almost imperceptible to the naked eye. Two menacing barrels precisely focused on the densest cluster of discs. Fire. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat. In the next second, a deafening roar erupted. Two blazing steel whips composed of tracer rounds lashed out towards the sky in a frenzy. The terrifying rate of fire melded the cannon sounds into a continuous cacophony of tearing noise. Countless scalding shell casings cascaded down from the sides of the turret like a golden waterfall, piling up on the ground into small mountains. Boom, boom, boom. Orange fragments exploded in the air, and hardly a single disc could survive more than a second under this barrage. Incredible. This is what firepower is all about. Absolutely phenomenal. Amazing. So exhilarating. I'm getting goosebumps. This is the true romanticism of manhood. No wonder it's the most advanced active anti-aircraft gun. So powerful. The sense of security is overwhelming. The shock value soared as if propelled by a rocket. After shattering all the discs, the 09 anti-aircraft gun ceased fire. We have witnessed conventional fire extinguishing methods and experienced top-tier air defense capabilities. Yi Bai's voice echoed across the internet through the live stream. Now, it was time for the main event. In anticipation from all, the firefighting anti-aircraft gun was slowly towed to the center of the target area. When it was fully revealed on camera, a moment of silence enveloped the entire live stream. This firefighting anti-aircraft gun boasted a deep matte black exterior, exuding a sense of advanced technology. Its chassis was wider and heavier than that of the 09 anti-aircraft gun. The turret featured sharp designs, with a barrel noticeably thicker than the 35mm cannon, angling upward toward the sky. At the muzzle, a uniquely designed multifunctional brake was installed. Its overall appearance radiated an aura of grandeur and intimidation, more formidable than the previously showcased state-of-the-art 09 self-propelled anti-aircraft gun, exuding an unmasked aura of lethality. Wow! Is this really a firefighting anti-aircraft gun? Are we sure it's not some secret next-generation electromagnetic cannon? Its design is stunning. The imposing presence surpasses even that of the 09. If this were to roll down the street, who would dare claim it's a fire truck? It's clearly a ground launch platform for a space-based kinetic weapon. In response to the audience's astonishment, Yi Bai approached and patted the turret, stating, "As you can see, my firefighting anti-aircraft gun indeed has a rather robust appearance. It also possesses highly advanced fire control radar technology. However, its function is quite specialized. Its radar can only discern two things. First, where there is fire, and second, where there is an unusual source of light. Once it detects a fire source or light source, it will discharge specially designed firefighting shells at the fastest speed to extinguish the flames. That is its sole function, pure and unadulterated." As the audience absorbed Yi Bai's candid explanation, knowing smiles spread across their faces. Just that? It can only differentiate between fire and light? Really? Just then, the testing props made their entrance. A dense buzzing sound approached from afar. One by one, camouflaged military drones ascended from the horizon. Each suspended beneath them was a burning fire pot. Dozens of drones formed a massive aerial formation, carrying a moving sea of fire. Slowly advancing toward the target area, the viewers in the live stream erupted with excitement. My goodness, a swarm of drones. The military has even developed swarm drones. This is quite the spectacle. These drones are likely used for weapons testing. In wartime, with bombs attached, they could become a terrifying aerial assault force. I get it now? We're simulating a scenario where enemy drones carrying incendiary devices launch an arson attack. Wait, the drone's muzzle has a light. If there's light, it can be extinguished? And you claim you're not dealing in arms. This is irrefutable evidence. Observing the dense swarm of drones in the sky, Long Hantian's expression turned gravely serious. Under such a density of attacks, even our Type 09 anti-aircraft artillery finds it exceedingly challenging to eliminate all threats within a short span. Some will inevitably slip through the net. Upon hearing this, Yi Bai immediately adopted a stern expression and, in an exceedingly serious tone, corrected, "Commander Long, please be mindful of your wording. This is a firefighting anti-aircraft gun. It is intended for extinguishing fires, not for combat." He deliberately emphasized the words extinguish fires. Long Hantian regarded Yi Bai's earnest demeanor, initially taken aback, then instantly grasped the situation, stifling a laugh as he nodded repeatedly. "Ah, yes. Extinguish fires. What was I thinking?" He then adopted a curious expression, pointing at the swarm of drones in the sky, inquiring, "Can your firefighting cannon rapidly eliminate all the flames up there?" "Absolutely, it is not a problem," Yi Bai confidently replied. Without further ado, he approached the operational console of the firefighting anti-aircraft gun and issued a command through the communicator. "Target all airborne fire sources and anomalous light sources. Locking complete. Fire." Whoosh. Instead of the thunderous roar of the Type 09 artillery, a sharp, clear sound pierced the air. The cannon's long barrel recoiled sharply as a specially designed white firefighting shell was launched at a velocity nearly imperceptible to the naked eye. Following this were the second, third, and fourth shots. The high-pressure pneumatic launch system exhibited an unrivaled rapid-fire advantage. The intervals between the shell launches were so brief that they formed a continuous line of white projectiles, dazzling in their speed. The rate of fire appeared even more ferocious than the previous double-barrel salvo from the Type 09 artillery. The white firefighting shells, as if guided by an unseen force, accurately targeted the drones. Boom, boom, boom. The first shell struck a drone carrying a flaming bowl with pinpoint accuracy. Instead of an earth-shattering explosion, a massive white mushroom cloud erupted in the sky. The ultra-low temperature of the dry ice and the highly effective extinguishing agent instantly consumed the flames in the bowl, extinguishing them. The terrifying cold even rendered the drone's metallic body brittle, causing it to shatter and disintegrate under the shockwave. Soon, more white mushroom clouds blossomed in the sky. 1, 2, 3. They formed a sea of clouds, effectively covering the entire drone formation, whether it was carrying a flaming bowl or equipped with machine guns. Any drone that came into contact with this white mushroom cloud would be instantly extinguished, plummeting from the sky. What astounded the technicians controlling the drones from behind was their realization that their control signals could not penetrate the area enveloped in white dry ice gas. This region had created a natural and powerful electromagnetic shielding zone. The entire process was clean and efficient, almost shocking in its effectiveness. Within mere seconds, the previously arrogant swarm of drones was utterly eradicated. Viewers in the live stream, witnessing a scene more breathtaking than that of a sci-fi blockbuster, had descended into a frenzy. What the heck? Is this fire extinguishing? This is clearly removing the fire source from existence physically. This rate of fire. My goodness. It seems far more ferocious than the Type 09. What kind of black technology is this? I declare, from today onward, this is the strongest air defense weapon in my mind. Who agrees? Who disagrees? Chapter 168. Artificial Cloud Layer. Is this called a firefighting anti-aircraft gun? The smoke in the sky. No, it was a white dry ice smoke screen, lingered without dissipating. The expanse of clouds formed by the white mushroom clouds completely covered a significant portion of the target range, creating a spectacular and awe-inspiring white canopy. The sunlight struggled to penetrate this dense layer, casting shadows over the target range below. This artificial cloud sea persisted for several minutes, only beginning to show signs of gradually dispersing. Long Hantian gazed upward, captivated by the magnificent scene, his eyes widening in amazement. He was not merely admiring the view. As a military commander, quickly discerned the immense tactical value concealed behind the white smoke screen. He hastened to Yi Bai's side, breathing somewhat rapidly. Yi Bai? How extensive an area can this smoke screen cover, and how long can it last? Observing Long Hantian's excitement, Yi Bai stifled a laugh, but maintained a calm demeanor. Well, that depends on the amount of ammunition available. If we have ample supplies, say, an entire truckload of shells here, it would be entirely feasible to cover an area as large as 2 or 3 standard football fields with this dry ice smoke screen. Regarding duration, under still or mild winds, a barrage like earlier could last approximately 5 minutes before gradually dissipating. 2 or 3 football fields of coverage, a potent shield lasting 5 minutes. Long Hantian's eyes gleamed like 2 bright bulbs. His mind raced with tactical calculations. This was exceptionally suited for battlefield use. It was a divine tool tailored for modern warfare. During an offensive, this smoke screen could serve as a natural cover for ground troops, effectively obscuring enemy reconnaissance and attacks by drones. In defense, it could instantaneously create a vast visual and electromagnetic blind spot, perfectly concealing the views of enemy satellites and high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft. If this could be employed in the cross-regional military exercises with the Northern Theater Command by the end of the year. Long Hantian's mind conjured the image of his old rival, Northern Theater Commander Lan Guangji. He could almost envision the expression on that old fox's face when his troops, concealed by this firefighting smoke screen, infiltrated directly before Lan Guangji's command center without him even realizing it. At that moment, they could capture him alive. Thinking of this, Long Hantian's heart raced, his blood surging with excitement. Forcefully suppressing his exhilaration, he pressed on with the question that concerned him most. So, how high can this thing shoot? Did I not mention it? Yi Bai replied with an air of certainty. The maximum effective range can reach 10,000 meters. 10,000 meters. The joy within Long Hantian was beyond verbal expression. What did a shooting height of 10,000 meters signify? It meant that it could not only deal with low-altitude infiltrating drones and cruise missiles, but could also pose a lethal threat to the majority of fighter jets, bombers, and reconnaissance aircraft operating at mid to high altitudes. This was no mere firefighting cannon. This was evidently a super air defense system with extraordinary performance capable of engaging targets at all ranges. Quick, let us test it. Long Hantian could no longer contain himself, grabbing Yi Bai's arm, urging eagerly. Immediately test the maximum altitude of 10,000 meters. I want to see if it can truly reach that height. In response to Long Hantian's urgent request, Yi Bai smiled slightly, acquiescing. He returned to the operational console and issued a new command through the communicator. Target directly above. Height 10,000 meters. Prepare to test maximum altitude. Fire with all your might. This command was clearly transmitted through the live stream. The viewers in the live stream erupted upon hearing the 10,000-meter benchmark. Did I hear wrong? 10,000 meters. A firefighting anti-aircraft gun wants to shoot to that height. Are you out of your mind, streamer? The audacity of the claims is utterly outrageous. What does a height of 10,000 meters even signify? Commercial airliners operate at that altitude. I cannot believe it. Absolutely not. The nation's most advanced 09 self-propelled anti-aircraft artillery has a maximum range of merely 4,000 meters. On what grounds can your firefighting cannon reach 10,000 meters? This defies logic. Indeed, this transcends the realm of firefighting artillery. It approaches the altitude of intercontinental missiles, does it not? The host has begun to spout nonsense merely to attract attention. In the live stream, a chorus of skepticism arose. The vast majority of viewers deemed Yi Bai to be exaggerating. After all, a shooting height of 10,000 meters far exceeds their understanding of such weaponry. Yet, Yi Bai paid no heed to the barrage of comments. He simply typed away at the control panel, and as he pressed the final confirmation button, the cannon barrel of the firefighting anti-aircraft artillery gradually elevated, ultimately aiming almost vertically towards the heavens. Fire. Whoosh. Another sharp sound pierced the air. The recoil compensator behind the cannon suddenly expelled a powerful gust of air, sending dust swirling from the ground. A pristine white extended-range fire-extinguishing shell, propelled at an unprecedented velocity, left a faint trail behind, resembling a divine arrow shot towards the heavens. Unerringly and resolutely soaring into the pristine blue sky, its speed was astonishing, so swift that no one could track its trajectory. Moments later, when everyone assumed it had vanished from sight, the nearly invisible shell erupted in a series of explosions in the sky. Boom. This time, the sound of the explosion took a considerable while to reach the ground, and at that distant altitude of 10,000 meters, an enormous, immaculate cloud formed out of thin air. In that instant, the entire live stream fell into a profound silence. All viewers, whether previous supporters or skeptics, gazed up at their screens in awe, their minds blank. Creating clouds at 10,000 meters. Producing a cloud directly in the sky? This is what they call a firefighting anti-aircraft cannon. Unbelievable. 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 I am at a loss for words to describe this. Amazing. With hoarse voice. Goodness. This transcends science. This is divine. This is magic. I was wrong. I was truly mistaken. Host, I bow before you. I should not have doubted you. This is no mere firefighting cannon. This is clearly the work of a creator deity. Simultaneously, the radar monitoring station at the target range erupted in exclamations. A technician responsible for monitoring the data abruptly stood up, his gaze fixated on the numbers on the screen, his voice trembling with shock. Report. Report to the commander. The final altitude calculation has been completed. Long Hantian rushed over and snatched the data report. Final explosion altitude, 11,003 meters. 11,003 meters. Goodness. Long Hantian clutched the thin report tightly, his mind roiling with tumultuous waves. An elevation of 11,000 meters. This figure not only transcends the realm of anti-aircraft artillery. It signifies a revolutionary concept in air defense. With such a range, it implies the capability to detonate enemy bombers' munitions in the high altitudes before they can release their payloads. If the shell's accuracy and destructive power are sufficiently formidable, it could even pose a direct threat to the bombers themselves. Crucially, its rate of fire is astonishingly rapid. Multiple shells can create extensive fire coverage and signal jamming zones in a short span. Countless tactical scenarios flashed through Long Hantian's mind during large-scale military maneuvers. If the troops encounter cloudy weather during the day, a volley of firefighting anti-aircraft artillery fired into the skies along their route could instantly generate a vast artificial cloud that blends seamlessly with the natural cloud cover. The troops could advance swiftly under the cover of this man-made cloud, effectively obscuring themselves from enemy satellites and high-altitude reconnaissance, moving undetected. By the time the enemy perceives their presence, the army would have already besieged their stronghold. Even if the enemy discovers this tactic, They could employ feigned maneuvers, creating a smokescreen at point A to divert the enemy's attention and reconnaissance assets while the main force stealthily advances from point B. This could elevate the art of warfare to unprecedented heights, leaving the enemy utterly defenseless. This technology must be integrated into our forces. No, it must be incorporated at any cost. With this thought, Long Hantian gazed at Yi Bai with eyes ablaze with fervor. Calming his excitement, he proposed an even bolder, albeit somewhat reckless idea. Could this cannon be fired at a horizontal angle? Upon hearing this, the entire live